EFF leader Julius Malema is set to learn his fate when he returns to the East London Magistrates Court in Kukompo for sentencing. Malema was convicted of contravening gun laws, a ruling that could have significant implications for his political career. The conviction stems from a 2018 EFF rally in Dansane, where he was captured on video firing shots in the air with what appeared to be a rifle. His court appearance today has been set down for final heads of arguments for pre-sentencing, with final sentencing expected tomorrow. Alpha Ramushwana reports.
The final moment has arrived after years of Julius Malema standing trial in his firearm discharge case. During the proceedings, the EFF leader maintained that the firearm seen in video footage was fake and did not contain live ammunition. However, in its judgment, the court dismissed that argument, saying that regardless of whether the firearm was real or not, shots were fired into the air in front of thousands of people. Malema has previously told supporters that he's being targeted and has questioned the legal basis of the guilty verdict.
Any ruling that is unjust, any ruling that doesn't follow the law and the constitution doesn't deserve our respect.
Meanwhile, the party has booked the Jan Smuts Stadium, where its supporters will watch Malema's sentencing proceedings on a jumbo screen. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Kukompo City in the Eastern Cape.
Suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Malema has denied allegations of playing any parts in the kidnapping of another officer. Last November, EMPD spokesperson Kilebogile Tipa testified at the Madlanga Commission about an incident where she was kidnapped by 3 men at gunpoint and later assaulted. Tipa told the Commission the incident came after Mkhwanazi told her he was unhappy with how she answered media queries regarding the Vusmuzikat Matlala blue light saga. In 2022, Mkhwanazi entered the police department into an irregular memorandum of understanding with Matlala Security Company, which allowed for some of the businessman's cars to be fitted with blue lights. Tabiso Goba reports.
Suspended EMPD Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi spends yesterday at the witness stand denying the many allegations against him. On allegations that he promoted his friends at the EMPD, Mkhwanazi says he didn't act alone in selecting officers for promotion, and those promotions were deserved. He also denied running a rogue parallel unit within the EMPD that allegedly operated outside the department's jurisdiction. Mkhwanazi says officers operating outside municipal boundaries has been a common course for many years in the EMPD. Finally, Mkhwanazi also denied having anything to do with his colleagues' kidnapping.
I don't plan to do any kidnapping. I'm a police officer. I can't do that, especially to my colleague, to my junior in the EMPD. Everything that she came and testified about me kidnapping at night, it's not true.
Mkhwanazi returns to the commission today for cross-examination. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Politician and peace negotiator Rolf Meyer has been appointed as South Africa's new ambassador to the United States. The presidency confirmed the appointment last night, nearly a month after Meyer met U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Brent Bozell. Meyer is best known for serving as the National Party's chief negotiator during the 1993 multi-party talks that helped bring an end to apartheid. South Africa's former ambassador to the US, Ibrahim Rasool, was expelled last year by the Trump administration and declared persona non grata. Nkosikona Malingamnisi reports.
From my knowledge, my experience of him, my working relationship, my understanding of him, Cyril would definitely my preferred choice.
That was Rolf Meyer in a 2016 interview with EWN, naming his preferred candidate to succeed former President Jacob Zuma. Now, nearly a decade later, President Cyril Ramaphosa has turned to Meyer, a longtime ally and trusted confidant, tasking him with representing South Africa's interest in the United States. This is the second time Ramaphosa has shown confidence in Meyer's leadership after appointing him as co-chairperson of the National Dialogue's Eminent Persons Group last year.
If we're all sitting back and criticize and do nothing about answering some of the criticism, then we can't complain.
However, the 78-year-old's latest role is already drawing sharp criticism over him being a former official in the apartheid government, with questions also being raised about his age. Or see Kona Malingamnisi Eyewitness News.
And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has hosted the first direct talks between Israel and Lebanon in decades. The meeting marks a rare encounter between representatives of both governments that have technically been in a state of war since Israel was established in 1948. They entered the talks with conflicting agendas, with Israel ruling out discussions of a ceasefire in Lebanon and demanding Beirut disarm Hezbollah. After the meeting, the U.S. said the two sides had productive discussions on steps towards launching direct negotiations, but Washington does not say they reached any common ground. The meeting comes during a fragile ceasefire in the Middle East crisis between the U.S., Israel and Iran. The wider conflict started by the U.S. and Israel at the end of February has seen militant group Hezbollah in Lebanon opening fire in support of Tehran. This has sparked an Israeli offensive that has killed more than 2,000 people and forced 1.2 million others from their homes. Gold is trading at $4,826.72 an ounce. The rand is at 16.35 to the dollar, 22.18 to the pound, 19.27 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $95.24 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got faulty traffic lights reported in four ways at Monte Casino Boulevard and Winnie Mandela Drive. They're also out of order in North Riding at Malibongwe Drive and the N1. And then if you're traveling in the city of Tshwane, we've got queuing traffic already on the N1 South between Sefako Drive and Stormful Road. This is due to roadworks.
And in your sport, Barcelona and Liverpool are out of the Champions League as Atletico and PSG advance the semi-finals. Banyana's WAFCON preparations on track following a 1-0 win over Algeria. The Sharks have travelled without Ibn Etzebeth. And in the IPL, Chennai Super Kings beat the Kolkata Knight Riders by 32 runs.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. Johannesburg starting at 12 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 15 and 24. Vereeniging 14 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. EFF leader Julius Malema is set to learn his fate when he returns to the East London Magistrates Court in Kukompo for sentencing.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Small business owners speak a language of their own, and it's a language MTN Business and 702 understand very well. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Enter now on Prime Media Plus. Let's talk shop.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes after 6 o'clock, rise and shine. If you're still lying in bed, rubbing your eyes, counting to 20. Did you ever do that as a kid when the alarm would ring? You'd say, okay, let's count to 20. And then we'd count backwards. 20, 19. I still do that. Grown as I am. At the tender age of 40-11. You must go make your coffee machine turn on. You must put on your gym clothes, put on the suit, those high heels. Or are you already on your drive? It doesn't matter. Welcome to 702 Breakfast. My name is Bongani Bingwa. As always, our aim is to tell you what's going on in the world and help you make sense of it and have conversations around it. It's a big day for the EFF. It's a big day for Julius Malema, quite possibly the most talented politician in this country of his generation. Whatever your persuasion, is this the end of the road? Or do you count him out at your own peril? The EFF leader, Julius Malema, facing sentencing proceedings following that guilty conviction on those firearm-related charges in East London. Kukombo. That's what it's called now. He's got a strategy. He's got a team in play in Bisho ready to appeal. He's still insisting that that was not live ammunition. Those rounds were not live. Do you believe it? Do you buy it? What do you think happens to Julius Malema next?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We're speaking to a top criminal attorney. This is somebody who knows how it works in court, what the stakes are from a legal point of view, what legal hurdles Malema might face, whatever the politics of it might be. We'll also speak to one of our favorite political analysts, Sandile Swana, who's going to tell us politically how does Malema survive this. But could we see the end of Julius Malema's political career? I defy you to name me a single politician of his generation who's had more impact on the political landscape in the last 15 years. 15 years. Let's take it from, 2010? Thereabouts? Can you think of a single politician of his age, of his generation or similar, who has had as much impact on the political landscape as Julius Malema? Could this be the end? What are your thoughts? The transatlantic slavery trade was possibly one of the worst stains in human history. Ghana has proposed a motion that wants to see reparations and obvious condemnation. That's going to be the focus on our Africa report. And of course, it being a Wednesday, it's time for another corporate that cares.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
News in late last night, the appointment of Rolf Meyer as the next ambassador to the United States. Speculation, of course, had been that it has to be a white guy. It has to be an Afrikaner. And I mean, who says establishment, Afrikaner political establishment, better than the name Rolf Meyer? And he comes in with a particular pedigree because, of course, he was one of the ministers in the last apartheid government cabinet. In fact, he was the National Party's chief negotiator. And this unlikely bromance, if you will, with Cyril Ramaphosa arose out of that process because, of course, they were on opposite ends of that negotiating table. I remember an edition of a magazine now defunct. It was called Tribute, and it was all about black excellence in those days. And there was a cover story of Rolf Meyer and Cyril Ramaphosa fly fishing together. This unlikely friendship arose from those tense negotiations. Both of them exited the political stage at some point. Cyril Ramaphosa, of course, returning in Mangaung. Rolf Meyer can't be known only as the last minister of, what did they used to call it, constitutional development or constitutional affairs, I think it was called, under apartheid. He held various portfolios. He's also the co-founder of the United Democratic Movement with Bantu Olomisa, because he was one of those who identified very early on that if you want to have significant impact on the South African political scene, you have to do so appealing to the majority base of voters, and that, of course, is the black population. So your thoughts on that, your reaction to that story as well.
Let's walk the talk.
7:02.
14 after 6, as always, I'm not alone. I'm with a team of colleagues behind the scenes. It's pandemonium sometimes in the booth, in the producer's booth behind the scenes. You don't get to see that even when you're on YouTube. We do try to keep some of how the sausage is made away from prying eyes. But as always, a very good morning to you, Amuramila.
Good morning, Bongs. Morning 702 Landers.
Here to tell us how to get safely and on time on our morning commute and so much more. Muteo Khwarepe is here for business news. Gosh, how are you keeping up? You've been doing the Money Show this week. Both bookends of the day.
Yeah, every little moment I get, I doze off a little bit.
You're full of energy.
So, yeah.
You're just bouncing off the walls.
And let's see how long it
right? Swinging from the chandeliers. Listen, I think it's absolutely fantastic that you are able to do breakfast because you've been standing in. Is it sitting in, standing in? You know what I mean, for Stephen Curtis on The Money Show. As always, a shout out. It's 6:15, so let me ask you this question, both of you. What's the worst place to go to get advice?
For me, it's from someone who's still jaded from whatever experience I'm asking about.
But it's just a fresh most.
Because you're not giving me the advice from a point of, I've healed from this, I've really thought about it. This is the advice.
But the fire's still hot.
It's not
still
holistic,
fresh.
Though. It's from you being the victim.
I'm like, pass up. Beware.
Exactly. That's the only advice
burns.
you can give me.
All right. So it's one-sided, in
It's
other words.
one-sided. You're
one-dimensional.
jaded and, you feel like this is the reason for me giving you this advice. Don't do it at all. Well, you haven't really experienced the whole, situation holistically.
All right, Amo?
I think from friends, particularly friends who aren't in the same lifestyle as you, right? So if it is that, and I've experienced this, so I'm talking from, if it is that I'm a mom and most of my friends are not parents,
right?
I don't go to them for advice because they don't have the experience. They don't have the, do you know what I mean?
So they have to relate in some
They
way.
have to relate, yeah.
They have to have been down that path.
Yeah, physically, and not with somebody's children, or they themselves have to have gone through a certain way around parenting.
Can I throw almost the opposite then, Amo, and say, I find it difficult to get advice from somebody whose life is perfect. The person who never makes mistakes, the person who never has a story of messing up. Everything always works out for them. And their life is just hunky-dory. I find it I hate being the loser in the friendship, the one who's always in crisis, the one who's always having problems. If you don't have any to share with me, you ain't hearing any of mine.
Makes sense.
So you want advice from somebody with problems?
Because then it makes me feel that you've worked through something, or at least I've watched you working your way out of something. I've watched you take advice.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Fair.
072-702-1702. Send us a WhatsApp voice note. What's the worst place to go to get advice? We'll explain why we're asking that question coming up.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Julius Malema, of course, the leader of the EFF, no doubt is going to be the big story today as many people turn their eyes to the Eastern Cape to figure out what happens next to what has been an incredibly brilliant career so far. The leader of the EFF, during a press briefing last Thursday, saying that the state is seeking a direct prison sentence of 15 years against him. He postulates, of course, it's all political. Somebody wants him out of the way. Do you agree with that? Or do you think that having got a conviction, having achieved a conviction, of course the state is going to go for the highest punishment it can? That doesn't necessarily mean the magistrate will agree, but they certainly can't start from the ceiling. They can't start from the floor. They've got to go to the ceiling, and it be the presiding officer who will bring it down should she agree.
The state has already put in the heads of argument. They are calling for direct imprisonment of 15 years. Yeah, so you can see that someone is doing everything in its power to get me into jail. So I have no problem with that. It's legal battles that we'll fight. Here in South Africa, you don't use the courts to fight political battles. So we are going there ready and knowing what the other side wants us. They are coming for a kill, but we'll meet at the court floor.
Victim much, do you think? Of course they're coming in for the kill. They've got the conviction. They want to go for the maximum they can get. That's the whole point of prosecuting somebody that you think is guilty of a crime. It's up to the magistrate to decide whether what the state wants is reasonable under the circumstances. He could walk away with a slap on the wrist. That's entirely possible. We just don't know, do we?
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
20 after 6. Mateo Kharipa, you've got a question of your own?
What do you do when you find out someone has lied to you? Do you confront them and let them know you're not the truth?
Not always.
Judge them silently and say, look, I'm not dealing with you ever again? Or just...
Not always. There's power in...
Depends on the lie.
It depends on the lie, depends on who it is. And sometimes there's power in you still thinking, I believe what I know to no longer be true.
Petty.
Give you a long rope
to hang yourself.
And just be there when you hang.
Amu, do you go for the truth immediately and say, look, you've lied to me, this is the truth? Or
it also depends who was lying to me. If I don't give my energy to everybody. If you are just, a friend or a colleague, somebody that I can manage to keep a distance from, I wouldn't be bothered. But if you are, say, for instance, my husband, my brother, my sister, then I will have to address it.
You know what's cute?
Mhm.
Somebody forgetting their lie, forgetting their story. And you go, pass the salt.
702.
Weather.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng today. Scattered showers and thunder showers still expected. I mean, who ordered this weather? Can we talk to management, please? Right? Yesterday it got so cold I nearly turned on the fireplace. Temperatures peaking at only 20 degrees in Johannesburg today. Pretoria, your high will be 24, 21 for Vereeniging. That's the same for Cape Town and Bloemfontein. Mahikeng max is just a little higher at 22. Bombela 28. Durban, a delicious 32, although you'll still get some showers there. Gqeberha 21. East London 22 degrees. But how hot is it going to be in that courtroom?
EWN Traffic.
21 after 6, the EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Amo, let's have a look at the roads. What are we seeing?
Well, Bongani, off to a very busy morning. If you are traveling on the N12 East, we've got delays between Klipspruit Valley Road and the Golden Highway. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North. That's in the Germiston area approaching the Geldenes interchange. And traffic lights are out of order in North Riding at Malibongwe and Mahogany. They're also out in Edenville at the N3 and Waterfontein Road while traveling in the city of Tshwane. Roadworks along the N1 South between Sefako Makhato Drive and the Stormful Road exit, causing about a 20-minute hold-up there. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Outsurance is saving 27-year-old Liam big bucks on his car insurance.
Saving so much every month, around 640 Rand.
That's an awesome 640 Rand saving on Liam's 2024 Ranger. And after 3 claim-free years, he gets an out bonus.
Definitely getting a lot out.
Get a quote now and see how much money Outsurance could save you. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. 702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Hey, morning, boss. Obreen for Sloras. Bongani, you are right. Julius Malema is being impactful for 15, 20 years. There's no one behind him. However, I'm very much disappointed. This judgment will not do anything to Julius Malema as per se. It will elevate him to be the leader of the EFF and then his cult leadership style. But unfortunately, Bongani, for the EFF, this is the downfall. This is the start. EFF, it will follow UDM, it will follow COPE. The leader will not be removed on that position, Bongani. 2070, if we reach there, Julius Malema will still be the leader of the EFF with 2 voters. Thank you, Bongani.
Well, look, if he is found guilty, and of course it depends really on not if he's found, he has been found guilty. It really depends on that sentence because that has implications on whether or not he can continue to be a member of parliament, for example, and how long it would take for him to be rehabilitated, to re-enter politics at some future date. And without him at the helm, I suspect you probably have a point about what future would that then mean for the EFF.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
As I say, 24 minutes after 6 o'clock, as I say, last night, news in President Cyril Ramaphosa appointing veteran negotiator Rolf Meyer as South Africa's new ambassador to the United States. I mean, is there anyone better to signal, particularly to the American right wing, that all the things they've been hearing about an apparent genocide in South Africa, all of that is absolute nonsense and disinformation. He is, of course, somebody who is established as a part of the Afrikaner establishment, a long-time politician, a veteran of the National Party, transitioned post-democracy to being part of the United Democratic Movement, and a really close working relationship with the president. So that's news. That'll certainly get a lot of tongues wagging. What do you make of it? A wave of protests to be led by young people, interns, workers, demanding jobs, better pay, improved labor conditions. It's strikes, pickets, and marches season. Areas like Tembisa and Randburg, you can expect some disruptions around labor concerns there. I know there's a big youth unemployment march that's planned for a little later on in the week, but that season is fully now in swing. Listen to this. A number of British acts are heading into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2026. Artists like Oasis, Iron Maiden, and Sade leading the charge. But they're also joined by American icons like Luther Vandross and the Wu-Tang Clan, with the ceremony expected to take place in Los Angeles later this year. And a study published in the British Medical Journal is warning about where to get not to get information. I'll tell you about that in the newspapers. And also, it's the birthday of Emma Watson, the French-born actress best known for her role in the Harry Potter film series.
702.
The newspapers.
Sfisa Zulu.
Good morning.
The worst place to get advice from?
I think you know the answer to that for me.
What do you think?
Look,
you think it's a good place to get advice
no,
from?
I really don't think, depending on the prompts. This is now ChatGPT or any AI device or tool, right? I think sometimes it can lead you astray and it's quite detrimental if you don't use it properly. So you just need to know how to use it.
You use it for dating advice.
Look, it was one time. It was one time. And you're holding that against me forever.
And you're still one guy.
Why am I single?
So the British Medical Journal, this is a story in the Business Day, is warning people not to use AI-driven chatbots. This is Gemini, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Meta AI, and Grok for medical advice. People are asking all sorts of things like, does red meat cause cancer? Is it safe to get stem cell therapy for Parkinson's disease? What risks are there for vaccinating children? What exercises are best for building endurance? And they've categorized the answers these prompts give into 3 categories: highly problematic, somewhat problematic, and non-problematic. 50% of the answers they give are either highly problematic or somewhat problematic.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
Don't.
Sfiso? We want you part of the show for a very long time.
Yeah.
For many years to come.
Yes, I was.
We want you dating once at some point in the future.
Okay, I will.
So don't go for medical advice from ChatGPT.
But it doesn't mention dating advice, though. That's very interesting. Listen, a quick one. In Shanghai.
Let me ask ChatGPT what to do with Sfisa Zulu.
In Shanghai, a restaurant has gone viral with a matcha latte that's featuring a sheep-themed foam design, and people are actually traveling for this from other countries. They're going to Shanghai just to get their sip from this thing that has gone viral, and it's drawing attention from both locals and international visitors. And it's a trend that's highlighting how visually creative food and beverages continue to drive tourism and online interest. So if you put your business out there, your creative idea on TikTok, people can actually travel the ends of the world to go there.
I like the teddy bear.
Yeah?
In my cappuccino.
Yeah.
You know when they make the teddy bear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they close the cup.
No, then I don't want them to close.
Then would you travel to another country just to get the teddy bear?
EWN.
Well, we've got our own business teddy bear, Sfisa Zulu Muteo Haripe here this morning, asking us, what do you do when you find out someone has lied to you? Do you confront them, keep some distance, or do you judge them silently?
Which is what you like doing.
What prompts the question, Mateo?
Well, African Bank has been flagged for trying to pass internal transactions as a healthy capital position. The Prudential Authority has called out the struggling lender for trying to artificially inflate its financial standing. Now, the PA, which operates under the Reserve Bank, will slap the lender with a more than 3 million rand penalty. Banks in South Africa are required to constantly share their capital position with the South African Reserve Bank's Prudential Authority, primarily to ensure financial financial stability to show that they still have the money reserves, comply with strict international regulatory standards, and maintain public confidence in the banking sector. Now, the Financial Services Tribunal has backed the view of the Prudential Authority, saying African Bank was dabbling in a frowned-upon practice of kite flying. Now, the tribunal described the scheme as involving synchronized electronic entries where money left the bank only to return under another name, which it found reminiscent of kite flying, a check fraud scheme that creates artificial balances.
So this would be like you're applying for credit.
Sure.
You give me money.
Yes.
Right? And then I give you back that money and I disguise it as income so that it looks like, but it's still your money.
New deposit. Yeah, I know it's coming back. But it's recorded as new funds coming into the business. Yeah, so here's how they did it. Essentially, African Bank issued a multi-million rand intercompany loan to its subsidiary, African Insurance Group. AIG then distributed these funds as a dividend to the parent holding company, African Bank Holdings. The final step, the holding company used these proceeds to subscribe to a single ordinary share in the bank valued at 685 million rand, superficially recapitalizing the lender. It's not the first time the lender's credibility has come into question. In 2014, under Kokernis, African Bank, specifically its holding company, Able, suffered a total collapse in credibility following massive financial losses and a subsequent curatorship by the South African Reserve Bank. What did they do then? Reckless lending, giving money to customers that were distressed, but also hiding the fact that they were not in a good financial position.
Is the rand in a good financial position?
Not just yet. It's quite flat against the dollar this morning. 16 Rand 35 against the dollar, 19 Rand 27 cents against the euro, and 22 Rand 20 cents against the British pound. Price of gold, $4,821 an ounce, while platinum is up more than 1% at $2,130. Brent crude below that $100 mark at $95 a barrel. More business after 7.
Straight to Sfiso Zulu at the news desk. Good morning again, young man.
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. A mass job search by unemployed young people in Midrand and Tembisa has yielded only to 21 offers, leaving many disheartened. Youngsters spent yesterday moving from factory to factory in hundreds in those industrial areas, approaching work sites with CVs in hand in search of employment. Mongezi Koko was there.
Several factories either remained closed to the group or referred them to management offices with no immediate engagement on available jobs. By the end of the day, only 21 people had been offered work, leaving majority of participants without any clear outcome. While the action remained peaceful, many say the experience has left them disheartened and uncertain about what options remain in an already tight job market. The group is expected to return today.
On top of all of that, we have to use public transport when we come here. We don't have money for that. We don't have water, and we even have to ask the company.
For many involved, the day ended with uncertainty, but also a commitment to return and continue pushing for answers on job opportunities. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
A police captain has denied giving alleged underworld gang boss Nafiz Modak instructions to expose senior police officers for corruption. Captain Alfred Barker returned to the witness stand in the Western Cape High Court yesterday, where he was cross-examined by the state about his alleged relationship with Modak. Modak, who faces charges linked to allegedly operating a criminal enterprise, claims Barker guided him to pay certain top cops in a plan to expose them as corrupt. Carlo Peterson reports.
Captain Alfred Barker insists he never instructed Modak to pay retired top cop Jeremy Veery or the slain Charles Kinnear. Barker told the court in 2018 he took statements from Modak, who alleged Veery and Kinnear were extorting money from him for the return of firearms confiscated from his home. Barker says after investigating the claims, he handed a docket to the Director of Public Prosecutions, but nothing came of it. Presiding Judge Robert Henney told Barker evidence shows Modak misled him by withholding key facts for Barker to open a case against the senior police officers. Barker maintains his dealings with Modak were on the strict basis of a cop investigating a complaint. The trial continues. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And a veteran journalist in Turkey has been sentenced to 2 years and 6 months in prison on charges of spreading misleading information. The case against Zafar Arpakili stems from comments he posted on X about internal clashes in Syria following the 2024 overthrow of President Bashar al-Assad. His posts referred in particular to deadly violence between Assad loyalists and forces aligned with Syria's new authorities in al-Wait majority villages. Turkey, which backed the rebel offensive that toppled Assad, has since forged close ties with Syria's new leadership under President Ahmed al-Shara. A cloudy day in store for Gauteng today with scattered showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 12 and 15 degrees, peaking at highs between 20 and 24 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident in El Dorado Park. This one is reported right near the Golden Highway. It's causing heavy traffic volumes from Main Road, so please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the Mike 1 North, we've got queuing traffic. This is between Boyson's Road and the double-decker section. It's due to peak time delays there. There's also peak time pressure reported on the N3 North in the Germiston area between the Elands Interchange and Van Buren Road.
The top story this hour, a job search by hundreds of unemployed young people in Midrand and Tembisa has yielded only to 21 offers, leaving many disheartened.
702 Drive with John Perlman.
My show is about keeping our listeners company in the last part of the day in the most interesting and entertaining way that we possibly can. So the crucial thing for us is we've got to provide them with a mix. The news, yes, the big stories, of course, but we've got to talk about other things that make them laugh, make them think about things they've never thought about, and most important, that invite them to have a conversation with us. What I love about the 702 family and 702 land. First of all, I should just say people never stop surprising me. And the thing that is perhaps the thing I love the most is people manage to find things that make them laugh. And they don't laugh from a place of ridicule. They laugh from a place of deep humanity, because our ability to laugh has got us through so much over these many decades, and we're going to need it plenty in the decades to come.
702 Drive with John Perlman, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
You may or may not know the difference between wheel alignment and wheel balancing, but you do know a great OutSurance deal when you see one. Get a car insurance quote now, and if OutSurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. OutSurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Ah, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers two options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual-action soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple-action pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it. Hi, this is Carol Shabalala, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. It's more fun when it's for fun. Playing responsibly is always a winning strategy. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Weird and creative banking happening at African Bank. A bit of naughty accounting there. It's alleged it's using artificial transactions to inflate its capital position. Just how much trouble is African Bank in?
The scale of the trouble is difficult to explain because primarily the main issue here is how did African Bank end up there in the first place, even before we looked at the mechanics of how they then tried to fix the problem.
Kaya Sitole, independent analyst and chartered accountant.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Coming up in the next hour.
Is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Invested in your story because your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Eager beaver I am this morning, aren't I? Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? Brought to you by OutSurance. 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. WhatsApp us your name and an answer to 072 702 1702. Remember, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you've SMS'd out to 45142 to Outsurance to get yourself a quote.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Bongani, you know, sometimes politicians, especially South African politicians, think that everyone is stupid. I mean, everyone saw Julius Malema taking that rifle from the bodyguard, shooting up, and he realized that no, the cameras are onto him. And then he gave that gun back to the bodyguard. If what was in that gun was not real bullets, why must he fear? Hey? Yeah, no, I think this is the end of him. Thank you very much. Taru Dipluf.
Morning, Bongani and the team, Bradley and Runback. Bongani, yeah, Malema is going to face a jail time. And due to AfriForum is the one who's pressurizing that all these corrupt politicians, they must be arrested. I'm telling you, there's still a lot of politicians that are still going to be arrested. As long as AfriForum, they'll be pushing this, the will is going to change. Nice show as always, guys. Have a nice day.
Morning, Bongani. It's Kyle here. So this is my feeling on this issue with Julius Malema. If it was any normal citizen that committed that particular crime, they would be sentenced to 15 years plus. What makes him that special that it might just be a slap on the wrist, but we never know. We need to get there first. So my argument is that it hasn't been a brilliant career. It for someone to stand up as an example, as a leader to the youth, and commit such a crime, do we really think that's an example? Thank you.
Look, there's a whole lot to decipher there. Firstly, I mean, this is not about whether you like him or even agree with his politics, but you can't deny the impact of his politics. That's the point I was making. And if it is indeed AfriForum that's behind corrupt politicians going to jail, well, all the more, please, more of the same. I don't care about what AfriForum stands for in other respects, but if what they can do is put pressure, bring pressure to make sure that politicians who are corrupt go to jail, more of the same. It's all going to hinge on the 12-month rule, you see. Section 47 of the Constitution says if you've committed a crime after the year 1996 and you are sentenced to more than 12 months, well, you cannot serve as a member of parliament. But all of that, of course, comes into effect only after all the appeals processes have been exhausted.
EWN Sport.
All right, Sydney Mphahlele, I'm on tenterhooks about tonight, the Champions League. Arsenal versus, I think it's Sporting Lisbon.
Yes.
But tell us about what happened last night.
Yeah, so last night, Barcelona and Liverpool, two giants of Europe, out of the Champions League. A 10-man Barcelona beat Atletico 2-1, but go out on a 3-2 aggregate. Liverpool lost 2-0 to Paris Saint-Germain. Dembele with both goals there to give the defending champions a place in the semi-finals on a 4-0 aggregate. PSG boss Louis Enrique says it was intense.
Intense match between two teams who played really good football, and it's an honor to play here at Anfield against that Liverpool. I have to say, first half it was more for us because I think we controlled the match and we could create a few chances. Second half it was a different. We suffered a lot. They pressed that high. They took a lot of risk, and it was difficult.
And as you were saying, Bongani, two more teams will be knocked out tonight. Arsenal and Bayern Munich have a 1-goal advantage over Sporting and Real Madrid. Banyana's preparations for WAFCON looking on track after yesterday's 1-0 win over Algeria in a friendly. Magia with the goal. Sides will meet again on Sunday. Betway Premiership action tonight. Kaizer Chiefs are playing Magesi. Chiefs are on a 4-match winning streak and playing to secure place in the Confed Cup, while Magesi are fighting to avoid relegation. The Sharks have travelled without Eben Etzebeth to take on Ospreys in Edinburgh in the URC this weekend. According to Rugby 365, Etzebeth has a hip injury, while second on the table Stormers are hosting Connacht on Saturday. An emotional match for the Stormers following the death of long-serving team manager Chippy Solomon. Here's coach John Dobson.
It's clear, runners and the players had a chat this morning that we're not using it as a gimmick, but almost what would Chippy want or what would Chippy do? And that's not just emotion for the game. It's how we want to be every day now, how we want to prepare. It's a hell of an important game. Desperate Connacht team who really are. They put us under pressure before, and we want to honour Chippy, both in the formalities and how we play. It's a game we're fighting. We've got an opportunity here to end top of the lot. So it's a massive game for us.
In tennis at the Barcelona Open, Alcaraz, Musetti, Rublev and de Minaur all through to the last 16 in straight sets wins, but the fourth seed Khachanov is out. World number one Yannick Sinner opted not to play this tournament, prioritising recovery. And in IPL cricket, Deval Brevis making 41 for 29 as the Chennai Super Kings beat Kolkata Knight Riders by 32 runs. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Every day, the products we buy, from food to medicine, depend on barcodes and standards to ensure they're safe and legitimate. That's the work of GS1 South Africa, the official supplier of barcodes for South Africa and the SADC region. So today, GS1 South Africa is hosting its indaba, and they'll bring together business, regulators, law enforcement, all of it stopping counterfeit goods and illicit products from reaching store shelves to protect South African consumers. GS1 South Africa, powering trust in data for everyone, everywhere.
At Fly Sapphire, we know that some of the most important lessons take place beyond the classroom, on sports fields, stages and tours. And so, we've brought back our School Booster Initiative, where 10 schools stand to win 10 domestic return flights each, helping their pupils fly further, dream bigger and do what they love. Visit flysapphire.co.za. Tell us how these flights could benefit your school and you could be a winner. Fly Sapphire, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
We said, let's talk shop. And small business owners answered, from the townships to the suburbs and everywhere in between. Now, 702 and MTN Business want to share their stories with you. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Listen to 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and the Afternoon Drive with John Perlman all week to meet the businesses doing big things. Hear what it really takes to build something from the ground up. And if you're listening thinking, that sounds like my business, go to primemediaplus.com now to enter or nominate a small business you know, because the next business we talk about could be yours. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Good morning, Uncle Bongani. My name is Andile. I go to Dunfin College. I'm 11 years old and I would like to be a pilot when I grow up. I'm excited to play the Whiz Quiz today because I also enjoy general knowledge and I am ready to play.
How high can you fly, Andile? We'll find out.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
12 to 7, the CWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. There's issues in Aldos. Amo?
That's correct, Bongani. An accident on the N12 East right near the Golden Highway. It's causing about a 20-minute hold-up coming out of Klipsbridge Valley Road. Also, do remember peak time delays there. And then if you're traveling on the Mike 1 North, we've got a truck that is stuck on the road. It's along the M1 North right near Smith Street. It's causing heavy delays. Do remember the peak time delays as well as you come out of Boyson's Road. So do expect about a 15-minute hold-up there. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 47. Did I turn the iron off? Oh, the inner turmoil. Well, with the Outsurance Pointsman on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Celestial Bodies returns to the stage after last year's successful run. It's a collaboration between Universe on Stage and Joburg Ballet. Celestial Bodies is a fusion of narration, music, science, and ballet. It's a unique performance telling the story of our connection to the stars and to the universe. Universe on Stage is reshaping live entertainment, merging science, music, and storytelling, connecting audiences to the wonders of the cosmos. There are 3 performances of Celestial Bodies at the UJ Theatre this weekend. 2 on Saturday in the afternoon and the evening, and 1 on Saturday. For more details and to book tickets, go to Quicket and search for Celestial Bodies.
The Audi Open House Sales event is here and you're invited. Come test drive a wide range of Audi models, take advantage of exclusive offers, and stand a chance to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Formula One, courtesy of Audi. The Audi Open House Sales event is now on until 30th of April at Audi dealerships nationwide. Book your test drive today at audi.co.za. Terms and conditions apply.
Get a free optical frame when you get tested at Specsavers this April. Purchase a comprehensive eye examination and get your optical frame free up to the value of 1,000 Rand. Choose your free frame from our wide range of trendy, affordable styles. Get tested today at your nearest Specsavers or book online. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
Africa's trade system is at a turning point. Fragmented standards are increasing compliance costs, delaying exports, and enabling the illicit economy to flourish. Today, industry leaders, regulators, and innovators will gather at the GS1 South Africa Indaba to explore how globally recognized GS1 standards adopted in 120 countries, supported by trusted product data and traceability systems, can enable safe trade, curb illicit activity, and protect consumers. 702 will be on the ground, bringing you all the action, updates, and conversations.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Up next, we speak about the United Nations and the Transatlantic Slave Trade Resolution a little earlier this year. But Andile wants to be a pilot and fly high. He's 11 years old, goes to Dainfin College, and wants to play the Whiz Quiz. Andile, you're sounding confident and excited. Are you ready to play, my man?
Yes.
Yes. Uncle KG, start the clock. Which word is used for a bee's sound? Buzz or fuzz?
Buzz.
Correct. How many players does a soccer team have on the field?
11.
Correct. True or false? Canada and Mexico are neighbors of the USA.
True.
Correct. The 2 colors on the McDonald's logo are yellow and what?
Blue.
And red. Which word means icy? Global or glacial?
Glacial.
Correct. What is 25 minus 15?
10.
Correct. What animal is shown in the animated movie Farmageddon?
Lion.
A sheep. True or false? Dolphins have teeth.
True.
Correct. The word doc is short for which profession?
Doctor.
Correct. Spell the word sharpener.
SHARPER.
PENER is how you spell sharpener. Not a bad round. Really well done, Andile. Well played. You did fly high. 700 Rand was your total. You got 7 out of 10. Remember, it's $100 for each correct answer. Get all 10 right, you win 10,000 Rand. But you must be aged 10 to 13 to play the Whiz Quiz.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
On 702.
702.
The Africa Report.
Right, let's focus on this now. Last month, the United Nations General Assembly passed a landmark resolution spearheaded by Ghana declaring the transatlantic slave trade and the racialized enslavement of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity. The resolution calls for apologies, the return of looted cultural property, and even compensation. The vote, 123 in favor, just 3 countries against: the United States, Israel, and Argentina. There were 52 abstentions, including the United Kingdom and the European bloc. I suppose all of that is predictable. Supporters say it's long overdue. Critics, including our guests, say, hang on, not so fast. Why are we ignoring other slave trades, like, for example, the slave trade under the Arab conquest, or even modern-day slavery unfolding today? Kenneth Khwadi is a political scientist and research fellow at the Middle East Africa Research Institute and joins us now. Kenneth, a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
A very good morning to you, Bongani, and to the fellow listeners. Thanks for having me.
Why do you call this selective accountability?
While I acknowledge that this is a very great milestone, something that had to be done, but we also should not forget one of the largest and the longest slave trade that happened in West and East Africa, the trans-Saharan slave trade, which was perpetuated by the Arab world, which is responsible for more than 9 million African people who were deported from African soil to the Arab world in the north of Africa, as well as in the Middle East or West Asia. So I think we should have that conversation, and all or both of this slave trade which took place should be held equally accountable, and there should be the reparation system as we are engaging on the transatlantic slavery. This is a good step towards making sure that all the countries that benefited from slavery are held accountable, especially on what we had just mentioned. It is not just an issue of those countries paying, but it is also making sure that they are being held accountable and acknowledging the past atrocities, and also the artifacts, the cultural properties that were looted from Africa should be returned back to Africa.
Kenneth, I mean, it's one thing to walk and chew at the same time. Your line is really terrible. I wish you could hear it a little more clearly. It's one thing to walk and chew at the same time, but aren't we diluting the impact of one when we try and put them all in one basket? I mean, there were particular horrors about the transatlantic slave trade. Quite apart from what happened once you got to the Americas, it was the fact that you might not even make it. So many millions died during that crossing. And then, of course, the particular characteristics of it. I mean, it was chattel slavery. You were completely owned by your masters, and it was hereditary. Your children would be owned. The dehumanizing elements of that particular slavery, it's almost unique in a sense in terms of how it was enacted.
Yes, but I think it's very important to look at the facts and the figures. So when you look at the figures, the people who were actually traded from Africa on both slaves, the number do not really, there's no so much difference between the two slavery, and you are saying that a lot of people died on the transit, in the transit between where they were taken to their destination. So a lot of people died also in trans-Saharan slavery, as well as they did in the transatlantic slavery. So I think we had an opportunity to include both slaveries in the resolution. So I think language is very important. We could have included both slaveries to make sure that both are held equally accountable, and we don't exclude another one. When are we going to hold the Arab slavery accountable? Because we started with this for having engagement as early as the beginning of the 90s.
Sure,
and
but hang on, Kenneth. My point is, it's not just about the numbers, and you and I can have some debate about whether they're even comparable. I'm saying there were unique features of the transatlantic slave trade which made it particularly abhorrent in ways that, say, even the Arab Saharan slave trade cannot compare.
True, I agree with you. They cannot be compared to each other. I think
so why are we putting them in one basket then? Why do you want them in one basket?
I'm saying, but when you look at the facts, which one took place before the other one? So you had Arab slavery before we had transatlantic slavery.
Yeah, but that's not the point of contention. It's not about when it happened, it's how it was done.
So, but when are we going to have the Arab slave trade being held accountable, or when are we going to start the conversation? Because it seems like we have forgotten about this brutal slavery, and we're talking about only the transatlantic slavery. So we should talk about all of them. These are the atrocities that held back the underdeveloped Africa. So they deserve to be spoken about and held accountable, all of them.
All right, Kenneth Khwadi, appreciate your time, political scientist and research fellow at the Middle East Africa Research Institute. Unfortunately, not on the clearest of lines there. Do you agree with what he is saying? Why this one and not some of the others? Or do you say, hang on, this one was so abhorrent, it cannot be compared to any of the others, and without justifying what one was, you can still focus on another and say this was particularly egregious? What's your view?
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
The end of the road or just a bump? The career of Julius Malema. That's to be decided in East London in the next 2 days. We'll discuss both the legal and political ramifications after this Eyewitness News brought to you by Khaliks. Khaliks, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is EWN.
Julius Malema prepares to learn for his fate in court. We go live to Gugompo for the latest. And Suleiman Karim will not make it to the Madlanga Commission as he recovers from an undisclosed medical emergency. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. It's a big day for EFF leader Julius Malema as he prepares to return to the East London Magistrates Court in Gugompo for sentencing proceedings. Malema is expected back in the dock this morning for conclusion of his pre-sentencing hearing, with sentencing scheduled for tomorrow. He was found guilty of violating gun laws when he fired a rifle at a rally in Dansane 8 years ago. And dozens of EFF supporters are expected to show up to support their leader following years of standing trial. We cross now live to Alpha Ramushwana in Gugompo. Alpha, is there any movement yet in the city?
Well, Siso, with Julius Malema expected in the dock at 9 o'clock, the Gugompo city is busier than usual this morning. The precinct around the Gugompo City Magistrates Court has been fully cordoned off, with law enforcement authorities deployed ahead of Julius Malema's appearance. The Gugompo City Magistrates Court has also hired additional security to prevent any unwanted visitors in the courthouse during Malema's appearance.
And Alpha, where will Malema's supporters be stationed today?
Well, Siso, while dozens of EFF supporters are expected to gather outside the courthouse in support of their leader, the party has also booked the Jan Smuts Stadium, where the majority of its supporters will be stationed. Massive jumbo screens have been set up for the Red Berets to follow the court proceedings over the next 2 days. So this is also where Malema's supporters will be addressed after his appearance today. So I'm actually walking into the courtroom at the moment. Malema's bodyguards have also arrived, and I'm being searched by courtroom security as I enter the courthouse. So it's definitely a busy day in this courtroom today, Siso. For Eyewitness News, I'm Alpha Ramshwana, reporting live from the Gugompo Magistrates Court in the Eastern Cape.
We'll keep you updated on those proceedings as they unfold. You can follow our reporters on X and all other digital platforms of EWN and the Prime Media Plus app. The Madlanga Commission says it won't put any undue strain on or pressure on controversial businessman Suleiman Karim to testify until he's healthy enough to do so. Karim was admitted to hospital earlier this week following an undisclosed medical emergency. He was due to testify tomorrow. Commission chairperson, or spokesperson rather, Jeremy Michaels, says it's now operating on the expectation that it will have to postpone his appearance.
But most importantly, we will engage with Mr. Karim's team, and in the event that he is not going to be able to appear before the commission, we may even withdraw his subpoena ourselves, because it's quite clear that he's not going to be able to appear on Thursday.
The appointment of Judge Aubrey Lewaba as Gauteng Judge President now lies with President Cyril Ramaphosa after he was recommended for the top post. Lewaba spent 2 hours in grueling interviews yesterday as the only candidate vying for the position. He has been acting Judge President since Dunstan Mlambo was appointed Deputy Chief Justice. But his candidature has been marred in controversy following allegations of corruption against him at the Madlanga Commission. Khomotso Modise reports.
The allegation that Judge Aubrey Lewaba received a bribe to award suspected crime boss Katiso KT Molefe bail followed him to his interview before the Judicial Service Commission, but it was not enough to keep him from being recommended. Yesterday, the JSC decided to recommend Lewaba for the Gauteng top judge post after he denied any wrongdoing. Judicial watchdog Judges Matter says the JSC addressed the allegations adequately. The organization's Alison Tilley.
The issues that were raised are the issues that I'm aware of, and they were dealt with in detail. He was asked not only by Commissioner Katobi about what had happened, but a number of other commissioners chimed in and wanted more detail.
Tilly has highlighted that there was no formal complaint laid against Lewaba with the JSC. The JSC's recommendation for Lewaba's appointment will now sit with President Cyril Ramaphosa. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
The United Nations Secretary General has called for the resumption of serious negotiations to end the war in the Middle East, saying the crisis has no military solution. Antonio Guterres says that international freedom of navigation must be respected by all parties, especially in the Strait of Hormuz, which has been a pressure point during the war. He says the ceasefire between the United States and Iran must be preserved, referring to the 2-week truce agreed last Wednesday after mediation by Pakistan. The two sides held talks in Islamabad at the weekend but failed to reach an agreement. The UN chief was speaking to journalists in New York.
There is no military solution to this crisis. Peace agreements require persistent engagement and political will. Serious negotiations must resume, and the ceasefire must be preserved and extended as necessary.
Gold is trading at $4,826.72 an ounce. The rand is at 16.35 to the dollar, 22.18 to the pound, 19.27 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $95.24 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North between the N12 exit and the Golden Highway. That accident we spoke about earlier in Eldorado Park has been cleared, but traffic remains very slow between Klipspruit Valley Road and the Golden Highway. And then traveling on the Mark 1 North, please be on the lookout for a truck that is causing some issues between Boyson's Road and Smith Street. It is stuck there, so please be on the lookout there.
And in your sport, Atletico lost to Barcelona but still advanced the Champions League semi-final on aggregate with PSG, who cruised past Liverpool. Kaizer Chiefs in action tonight. They're playing relegation-threatened Magesi. And another setback for Eben Etzebeth. According to Rugby 365, the Springbok now has a hip injury.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 24 degrees. The developing story in EWN this hour. It's a big day for EFF leader Julius Malema as he prepares to return to the East London Magistrates Court in Gukompo for sentencing proceedings.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
The first rule of earning respect is looking respectable. Nothing exemplifies this more than a well-tailored business suit, a crisp shirt, a tie, elegant shoes, all from Khaliq's. For over 50 years, Khaliq's has been a trusted name among business professionals who understand that reputation is everything. With quality suits and accessories of enduring style, Khaliq's offers exceptional value, service, and collections that inspire both business confidence and personal style. Khaliq's, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
From the townships to the suburbs and everywhere in between, it's the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Enter now on Prime Media Plus. Let's talk shop.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes after 7 o'clock, big news, big day rather, I should say. Big couple of days for the EFF leader, Julius Malema, returning to East London at the Magistrates Court there, preparing for sentencing proceedings. And the question we are going to be delving into in a minute or so is whether or not this is merely a fork or the end of the road for the EFF leader. I tell you what, it's also been a busy couple of weeks or months, shall we say, for Gogzilla, as they're now calling her, Helen Zilla. Yesterday, got on a little dinky kayak boat rowing in Dobsonville. Did you see that video? She was being pulled actually by someone. I'll get to that bit in a moment. But what is really interesting to see, and I tweeted yesterday, and it's not about whether you like her or not, but I tweeted that I haven't seen a more compelling and more effective campaign so far.
Yeah.
Because again, she was in this, pothole is not the right word. It was a literal dam. It was one thing to swim and snorkel as she did in the pothole. This time she was on a little, boat, little raft. Right? Rowing in a little raft. Not minutes or hours later, does the city of Joburg not show up to drain the raft? Kusela Digo from the ANC says, Zilla is very effective as opposition, getting the ANC-led coalition to work in Joburg. She must remain there in opposition. Good spin?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So what I found extraordinary about that story, there she was in this little raft, obviously highlighting what had happened and gone wrong in Dobsonville. And then later there were videos being posted that she wasn't actually rowing and moving this little raft herself, but she was being pulled by someone. And the objection wasn't what she was trying to highlight. People were saying, yeah, but why is the person pulling the raft black? At which point I just thought, I actually give up. Your thoughts on this campaign so far? Another story that came out yesterday, a second cabinet minister has been implicated in that Chinese SUV scandal. This time, Marupine Ramakgopa alleged, at least the allegations are, that luxury vehicles donated by Chinese entities were improperly given to family members. This follows the earlier controversy with claims around another minister, Sisisi Dolashe, and it's raising broader concerns about transparency, accountability, and the handling of foreign donations by government officials. So it's not so much that these were donated, it's that the allegation is that they didn't declare them. A 63-year-old man known as the Oslo patient, likely cured of HIV after receiving a stem cell transplant from his brother, who has a rare genetic mutation that blocks the virus. That is a really, really fascinating story. Cases are rare and risky, but this breakthrough offers some hope for future HIV treatments and a potential cure. And born on this day in 1982, Seth Rogen, a Canadian comedy actor known for films like Knocked Up, Neighbours, and The 40-Year-Old Virgin. He began performing comedy at just 12 years old and gained early recognition through TV shows like Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared.
702. Up next,
The Big Interview.
EWN. Traffic.
13 after 7. Amo, you were saying there's a truck on the M1 North, was it?
Yeah, that's correct, Bongani. It's right on the double-decker section near Smith Street. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of Boyson's Road. And to add on to these delays, we also have got peak time delays. So you've got about a 20-minute hold-up heading towards the Joburg CBD. If you are traveling on the M2 West, queuing traffic between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. There's also queuing traffic in Germiston along the N3 North. This is between the Elands Interchange and the Geldenays turnoff. If you're traveling in four ways, traffic lights are out of order at Winnie Mandela Drive and Monte Cassino Boulevard. They're also out along Midrand at the N1 South and Olifantsfontein Road, causing some issues there. And then out in the city of Tshwane, we've got roadworks taking place in Montana Park, the N1 South. That's between the Sefako Makhato exit and Stormfield Road, about a 20-minute hold up there. And there's still queuing traffic as well along the R80 East Mabopane Highway between the R55 and the Sydney Mphahlele Drive. If you are traveling in Centurion, do expect heavy delays along the intersection of Old Johannesburg Road and Braakfontein Road. Traffic lights aren't working there. They're also out of order in Centurion at John Forster Drive and the N1, but pointsmen are on duty there to assist your travels this morning. Please be on the lookout and continue driving with care. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
14 minutes after 7 o'clock, the state is going for the kill. They want a 15-year jail term. That's how Julius Malema is framing what lies ahead over the next 2 days as sentencing proceedings begin at the Kukombo Magistrates Court today. It all follows his conviction on multiple counts under the Firearms Control Act, and they all stem from the 2018 rally where he fired a rifle in a packed stadium. The stakes for him could not be higher. He faces anything from a fine, which would be really a slap on the wrist, to serious jail time. And politically, if he is sentenced to more than a year without the option of a fine, he will automatically then lose his seat in Parliament. What would that mean then for his leadership role at the Economic Freedom Fighters? He would no longer, I would imagine, be the CIC, as he likes to call himself. He, of course, and his party argue this is all a witch hunt. You will see in Kukombo, it will be a sea of red today as many supporters will make their voices heard. Hands off Malema. So we've got two experts joining us this morning. Ulrich Roux is a criminal attorney, a legal expert and the founder of Ulrich Roux and Associates, and of course Sandy Leswana, who's a political analyst and the principal consultant for the Center for Strategic Leadership. A very good morning to you both, gentlemen, and thank you for your time. Ulrich, let's just start with the legal hurdles. 15 years is what the state is pushing for, and I would imagine this is par for the course. If you've got a conviction, a criminal conviction, you would start with the maximum you can get. That doesn't mean you will.
Hi, good morning, Bongani. Thank you for having me. Yes, certainly we saw during the mitigation and aggravation of sentence arguments that the state is pushing hard for a term of 15 years of imprisonment. I doubt that they will get that, to be honest with you. Julius Malema does not have any previous convictions prior to this conviction. He's also not previously been convicted of any firearm-related cases. He has, of course, had all of the hate speech issues previously, and there was an inquiry or a criminal charge laid against him pertaining to fraud, but that was dismissed. So, you know, there's a number of factors that the magistrate needs to consider today. I think I've mentioned this before on your show, but just to remind everyone again, the court needs to consider his personal circumstances, then it needs to consider the severity of the offence, and then it needs to consider the impact that the sentence has on society. So in other words, would it be a deterring sentence? Will it prevent other people from committing the same crime, or will it be seen as too harsh a sentence? So, you know, all things considered, I do think that we are most likely looking at a suspended sentence here, a hefty sentence, coupled with a fine, in my opinion.
When you say hefty sentence, what do you mean? Are you talking about the value of a fine?
No, I mean, it could be a period of imprisonment of 10 years, either wholly suspended or partially suspended. And the effect of that is, you know, you have a convicted person then has this suspended sentence hanging over their head. It prevents them from committing any further crimes whilst they are serving out the period of the sentence that has been suspended, and it acts as a deterring factor for that person not to commit a similar crime.
If I understand it correctly, Ulrich, Section 47 of the Constitution says you can't be a member of Parliament if you've been sentenced to more than 12 months for a crime you've committed after 1996. I am aware, of course, that all of that only comes into effect once all appeals processes have been exhausted. So if it's a suspended sentence, what would that mean?
Yes, well, I think that would be the same, in my opinion. A period of imprisonment, whether it's suspended or not, falls under Section 47 of the Constitution. But having said that, I think that we can accept that Julius Malema will most definitely appeal this conviction and the sentence. He has an option to appeal both the conviction and the sentence, or only the sentence, and he is able to do so today already. He's able to launch his application for leave to appeal today, or once sentencing proceedings have been finalized. And as you correctly point out, Section 47 only comes into play should all appeal processes be finalized. Now, that could take an extraordinarily long period of time, of course, as we've seen. I think we've also seen in this particular matter, the magistrate, when handing down her judgment on convicting Julius Malema, took quite a lengthy period of time. She covered every base, and I think that would be the same today. I don't think she would finalize proceedings today necessarily. She has set aside today and tomorrow, so we could possibly only hear what the sentence will be during the course of tomorrow.
I want you to listen to Julius Malema. This is a clip courtesy of the SABC. She was being interviewed on the program Morning Live, and outlining what his legal strategy would be today. And I think it really is worth repeating. This is, as I say, courtesy of the SABC.
They found me guilty, and I said I'm going to appeal, that we're waiting for sentencing. And if they send me to prison, I will appeal immediately. I will have a team in Bisho and a team in East London the same day. Once she says, so whatever, yes, then we put in a leave to appeal. Once she rejects it, the Bisho team will petition the High Court and then send us a proof that they've already petitioned the High Court. And we give it to her and say to her, because High Court has been petitioned, we are now appealing for bail. And if she refuses the bail, we'll also immediately petition the High Court, which means the judge who deals with agent matters will be in Bisho. We'll have to hear why this guy is being denied bail. I've been going to that court for the past 7 years. I've never missed a single court date. Why would you deny me bail? I'm a political leader. I'm a leader of a political party. So I'm here. If bail granted, then I continue business as usual, because appeal suspend the decision of the lower court.
Sound like a sound legal strategy, Ulrich?
It does. He's been very well coached, I must say. No, he's 100% correct. So he could launch an immediate application for leave to appeal to the magistrate. Now, our Criminal Procedure Act works is that the magistrate who has convicted him and who has sentenced him must grant him leave to appeal. If that magistrate denies his application for leave to appeal, then he is within his rights to approach the High Court for petition to say that the magistrate made an error and that the High Court should grant him leave to appeal. He's referring there as well to an urgent application. Now, he is correct. I don't think that anyone can argue that Julius Malema is a flight risk. He is the leader of a political party. He has attended to that court over the past 7 years and been at every appearance. So I don't think that she would deny him bail if leave to appeal is granted. And that is a sound legal strategy. I would have done the same if I acted on his behalf.
Right, I'll let you hold the line. I'll come back to you in a moment. Sandy Luswana, let's bring you now into the conversation and look at the political impact of all of this. I have said, whether you like him or not, whether you agree with his politics or not, Julius Malema is easily the most talented politician of his generation to emerge in the last, I would say, 15, perhaps even 20 years in South Africa. This is a fork in the road, do you think, or could it be the end of the road?
Oh, thank you so much, Bongani, and your listeners. Certainly this, from the political tradition that Malema comes from, this is it's an inconvenience, yes, it's an irritation, yes, but politically it doesn't have too much of a severe consequence. Our leaders have led from prison, have led from exile. So he comes from that tradition. Secondly, the constitution of the EFF does not force him to relinquish his position at all. It would be an internal disciplinary process of the EFF that would remove him from his position. The EFF has identified this politically as a right-wing attack from the AfriForum, which has been attacking Malema through the courts for political reasons since 2012. And they've failed in all their cases. And I think, as we have heard the legal strategy that has been articulated, Malema wants to defeat them again.
If he does not succeed, if, as Ulrich outlined, the possibility of even a suspended sentence, but longer than 12 months, he would no longer, of course, be allowed to be a member of parliament. But as you point out, that would not necessarily mean he relinquishes his position as the leader of the EFF. But how severely, though, would it dent his standing as the leader of that party and indeed that of the EFF itself?
Our history, in fact, recent history since 2005, has shown us that you are able to actually increase your popularity by being victimized through the courts. Zuma has demonstrated that. Malema is able to do that more than most. I mean, since I think the days of Steve Biko, he's probably the next big thing that has happened since the days of Steve Biko. So I don't think Malema is politically incompetent to be able to capitalize and build more momentum for the EFF out of a conviction, out of a harsh sentence. I think it will work in his favor.
And you talk about the martyr role. We've seen, of course, Jacob Zuma, perhaps the most able to play a victim in our politics in a long time. Julius Malema, as you say, this is out of a particular political context that these charges arose. Having seen, though, an exodus of senior leaders of the EFF, how does he play this politically, also again in a context of a weakened ANC?
So I have a specific view affecting both the EFF and the ANC. My particular political view on this issue is that Zuma, Floyd Shivambu, and others decided to use an infiltration strategy, this one of dual membership. In other words, Floyd worked inside the EFF working for MKP. Others worked inside the ANC working for MKP. So when we talk about an exodus of leaders, we need to have a calendar of what we're talking about. But since the last elections of 2024, those were orchestrated by Zuma and company. It was not problems with Malema himself that, or internal problems of the EFF. It was a bigger political agenda, which is still progressing, but now outside of the EFF. Let me add this: any sober leader would have expelled certain people after what happened, because you need to secure your own political position. Every political party, Action SA, EFF, in the formative stages, there are certain people that get expelled. Some of them deny that they were expelled. There are different methods of expulsion to cleanse the party and make it more aligned to a certain type of leadership.
To use a tennis analogy, it may be game, it may be set, but it won't quite be match. Appreciate your time both, Ulrich Roux and Sandile Swana. What's your view? What happens next in the career and life? Julius Malema. Business news. Muteo Haripe, let's talk about that. I won't be letting you answer those deep questions, but we'll take voice notes on 072-702-1702. Our economic recovery as South Africa looking a little unsteady.
Unsteady, unstable. I mean, we had a good year last year, 2025. A lot of reforms matched the goals that we reached last year, but it's not looking good this year. The IMF now expects the local economy to grow by just 1% in 2026. This is down from an earlier forecast of 1.4% due to economic disruptions from the US-Israel conflict in Iran. Now, the war in the Middle East is disrupting trade and pushing up the price of oil and gas. Higher costs and weaker global demands are weighing on growth, especially for emerging economies like South Africa, which rely on imports and already face challenges and are specifically vulnerable to such threats. Now, global growth for 2026 has also been trimmed to 3.1%. And if the tensions escalate, risks like higher inflation and food insecurity could also rise. Now, the IMF and the World Bank are hosting these Springs meetings in Washington this week with key discussions focusing on the slowing global growth, persistent inflation, debt, and economic stability amid energy market volatility.
We're all keeping an eye on the oil price, of course.
Yeah, oil prices extended declines after settling sharply lower on Tuesday amid rising optimism that the Middle East conflict could see a diplomatic resolution between the US and Iran. US crude oil prices at $90 a barrel, down just 0.88%, while the international benchmark Brent crude oil, which we use, is at $94 a barrel for the June delivery. A second round of US-Iran negotiations are being considered, though no official schedule has been set. This is a White House official who told CNBC. Well, the markets were better here at home as that renewed hope of a truce came through yesterday. 1,309 points. The JSE was stronger by. Industrials up more than 1%. Banking stocks up 0.5%, with mining shares also positive. The rand at this hour, 16 rand 36 against the US dollar. Flat against the US dollar this morning, 19 rand 28 against the euro, and 22 rand 20 cents against the British pound. The price of gold is also weaker at $4,824 an ounce, while platinum is up 0.5% at $2,124. Brent crude up 1%, now at $95 a barrel. More business after 8.
Time for the latest eyewitness news brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask them for 500 rand. All eyes on Gugombo today and tomorrow, no doubt, Sfisa Zulu.
That's right, Bongani. That's where EFF leader Julius Malema's political future could take a significant turn if he's handed a custodial sentence of more than 12 months without the option of a fine. Malema is expected to return to the East London Magistrates Court in Gugompo for final arguments in his firearm discharge case. And last night, hundreds of EFF supporters marched through the city streets in support of their leader. Alfara Mushwana was there.
A march through the streets of Gugompo City and a night vigil at the Jan Smuts Stadium. That's how the EFF Youth Command rallied in support of their leader ahead of his big day. In what could be a career-ending moment, Julius Malema may be forced to step down as a member of parliament if he's handed a sentence exceeding 12 months without the option of a fine. This is because legislation states that anyone who receives such a sentence is disqualified from serving as a member of parliament for 5 years. Just last week, Malema told journalists that this is seemingly what the prosecution is gunning for.
They are calling for direct imprisonment of 15 years. You can see that someone is doing everything in its power to get me into jail.
A pre-sentencing report presented by the defense has recommended that Malema be slapped with a fine. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Gugompo City in the Eastern Cape.
Ria Vaya bus services have resumed this morning, a day after disruptions. Operations were halted because of payment delays. Commuters using the key routes from Soweto to the Johannesburg CBD and Braamfontein were able to access buses this morning. Mongezi Koko reports.
It's a familiar midweek scene in the Johannesburg CBD this morning, with commuters streaming back into bus stations and taxi ranks. There's a noticeable buzz in the air as people move with purpose, some heading to work, others to school, all trying to make up for lost time after yesterday's interruptions. Buses are filling up quickly at major nodes with long but steady queues as operations appear to be running smoothly. For many, it's a relief to see services restored, even as some remain cautious about possible future disruptions.
It takes the Rea Vaya, Nicest thing about Rea Vaya, it has its own lane of road, so you are able to make it to work on time.
The city has confirmed no major disruptions are expected today. Mongi Zikoko, Eyewitness News.
A security expert has raised concerns over a joint fitness drill between the City of Cape Town Metro Police and US Marines. Footage of Marines training with Metro Police cadets at Muizenberg Beach have sparked criticism from political parties, civil society organizations, and security experts. They are questioning the purpose, transparency, and broader implications of the exercises. Senior Associate at the Africa Center for Security and Intelligence Practices, Eldred de Klerk, says it's unclear whether the required clearance was obtained from the National Police Commissioner as mandated by the South African Police Act. Ntutuzelo Nene has more.
Security expert Eldred de Klerk warns the City of Cape Town may have a dereliction of duty charge on its hands if proper oversight was not in place. De Klerk adds that the municipality has serious questions to answer.
Was this ever discussed in council? Where is the public minute that outlines the resourcing of this, the spending of public funds in relation to this?
Mayoral Committee Member for Safety and Security JP Smith, however, maintains the activity was an informal engagement aimed at improving policing skills. He adds it was a cost-free fitness session as the Marines are based at the US Consulate in Cape Town. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And Pope Leo is expected to arrive in Cameroon today on his second stage of an African tour, shadowed by insults from US President Donald Trump and a suicide attack in Algeria on his first day. The pontiff is scheduled to meet Cameroonian President Paul Biya at the start of his 4-day visit before heading to a conflict zone where separatists have been fighting the army for nearly a decade. The planned private meeting with 93-year-old Biya, who is the world's oldest head of state, has split Catholics in the Central African country, who are estimated to account for around a third of the population. Clergy members have voiced fears it will enable Biya to banish his image 6 months after protests against his disputed re-election were violently suppressed. A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers expected today. The temperatures are at lows of 12 and 15 degrees, peaking at highs between 20 and 24.
And in the traffic in Woodmead, we've got an accident on the M1 North right near the Baklu interchange, delays from Marlborough Drive. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange.
The top story this hour, EFF leader Julius Malema's political future could take a significant turn if he's handed a custodial sentence of more than 12 months without the option of a fine.
You may or may not know the difference between a contour brush and a bronzer brush, but you do know a great OutSurance deal when you see one. Get a car insurance quote now, and if OutSurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or get cash. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. OutSurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Having observed and dealt with a number of public health institutions, what do you think of the quality of health delivery in our hospitals? Do you find that it's deteriorating? Do you find that it's getting better?
It's certainly not getting better. It is deteriorating. But I must say, overall, the healthcare system in the country is still good enough for people to rely on it. However, there are some systemic problems that have been going on for a number of years, primary of which is the infrastructure has been neglected, and secondly, the equipment has been neglected.
The Health Ombudsman, Emeritus Professor Taule Mokoena.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
This April, the Lyft Golden Ticket Hunt is back, and you have a shot at finding 150,000 rand in flights across Cape Town, Durban, Joburg and Pretoria. Clues drop exclusively on Lyft socials, so you'll need to be quick, watch closely, figure it out and race to the location. Plus every Friday, there's a digital ticket to be found, giving everybody a chance to play along. To join the hunt, visit lyft.co.za, follow the clues and get cracking. T's and C's apply.
That's Amanda before she got naked. When the power tripped, Amanda felt more helpless than when her mom-in-law called her lasagna different. So Amanda got naked. She got car and home insurance at a lower premium and can now call an electrician anytime via the Naked app. There we go. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Evolution doesn't wait. Introducing the Changan Uni S. Unexpected, unmistakable, uncompromising. Engineered to a higher standard, unlike anything in its class. Unsurprising really from China's oldest automaker. Trusted by 30 million drivers worldwide. Visit changanmotors.co.za for more. The Changan Uni S.
Changan. Driven to evolve.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani. I think people are just too quick to write off Julius Malema, but they forget history. Many of our black leaders before him faced persecution and pressure, yet they rose above it. I say, count it out at your own peril. This moment does not define the end of his political journey. It may very well strengthen it. He must appeal. He must exhaust every legal avenue available and continue to lead those who believe in his vision. Leadership is tested in times like these, and true leaders don't disappear. They come back much, much stronger. TK from Pretoria.
Good morning, Bongani. Yeah, we are also sending our heartfelt condolences to the CIC and the EFF as Malema is going to the dark prison. We are saying, Malema, we told you long ago, when we were telling you about these illegal foreigners, you kept on supporting them. You kept on saying you don't want us. But now, go and learn, Mfanagit. Hamba Mfanaga Malema. Hamba. Then maybe your head will learn something. Thank you.
Hi, Bongani. It's over here in Swane. I think this Malema case as well, it shows the rule of law in South Africa. It's not perfect, but at least it's working in spite of who you are. He may be attributing this to a political case, but it's also a legal case as well to show that the rule of law, he shouldn't have done what he did. But otherwise, thanks for the great show.
Haters of Julius Malema, don't celebrate yet. Don't celebrate. Bongani, don't celebrate yet, my man. Even when you try to seem like you are praising Malema for his career, it clearly says you are celebrating. Don't celebrate yet. And don't celebrate another man's downfall. But it's not going anywhere. Julius Malema will be a leader of EFF, and EFF will continue with this radical. We are the voters of the EFF, we are members of the EFF. Very educated, knowing exactly what we want. Cindy,
I'm not sure what gave you the impression I would celebrate. And far be it from me to minimize what he was convicted of here in terms of obviously discharging that firearm, and far be it from me to minimize the Firearms Control Act and the legislation around what you may or may not do with weapons. Even if you are somebody who is an anti-Malema, in terms of your politics, this is not one of those grand corruption charges, right, that he's facing. I'm not quite sure there's something to celebrate here for anybody, even for those who don't support Julius Malema. There's so much else that goes on that's wrong in our country. So will he get that sentence suspended, or will it be real jail time, and will it be more or less than 12 months? That's what it will all hinge on insofar as his ability to be a member of parliament. But as you heard our political analyst say, that does not preclude him from continuing to lead the EFF. And even if we get to that outcome, it's a long time from now, based on the various appeals processes that are still open to him. Is it Hodza in Midrand who is linking this to Julius Malema's Pan-Africanism and support, as you call it, for foreigners? I think the two have nothing to do with each other. You may perhaps be celebrating, but the two have nothing to do with each other. And in some senses, a more obtuse argument I haven't heard all day.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance, a chance for you to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 for the answer, and then a little later, 2,000 Rand for the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Today's answer comes from Mawetu. Mawetu, please give us today's answer.
Oh, good morning, Bong. Today's answer is Sade.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. I like that.
Correct.
Mawetu, have you got a quote from Outsurance?
Yes, I have. Thank
Biscuit, 1,000 Rand is coming your way, all thanks to Outsurance. And
that's so great. Wonderful.
702. Wonderful stuff. Mawetu, it is not a crime.
It's not a crime. Thank you, sir.
It's the sweetest taboo. Mawetu in the Joburg CBD there. The answer is Sade. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
Sydney Mphahlele is in the studio. Let's talk Champions League football.
Yes.
I mean, it's extraordinary. Two really, really big names in European football failed last night.
Yeah, the bigger, you would think, right? Because Atletico, I don't think many people expected them to be in the semi-finals, but there they are. PSG was somewhat expected, although they did struggle to get into the top half of the draw. They had to play playoffs, etc., etc. So, yeah, Atletico and PSG are through to the Champions League semi-finals. It means Barcelona and Liverpool are out. Even though Barcelona beat Atletico 2-1 last night, they scored early through Lamal and Torres, and then Atletico's Lookman got just that one crucial goal that the Spanish side needed. A 3-2 aggregate win. Barca played the last 10 minutes with 10 after Garcia was sent off. Boss Hansi Flick said his side was unlucky.
No, I think when you see both matches also in Barcelona, we had a lot of chances. And today also, so we have to score the goals. It's like that. And I will not say about referees, about these things. I think we just deserved it also that to stay in the next round, but we were not so lucky.
You know what makes me nervous?
Yes, why?
Arsenal remain undefeated in this Champions League campaign, and I like teams who struggle and sort of peak later. I worry about a team that seems to be having a goodish ride, and then...
That just comes from your years of supporting Proteas.
Yeah,
cricket.
maybe.
Right. Defending champions Paris Saint-Germain beat Liverpool 2-0. Dembele with both goals for a 4-0 aggregate win. PSG will play either Real Madrid or Bayern Munich in the semis. Bayern has a 1-goal lead going into tonight's quarterfinal. Arsenal with a 1-goal advantage hosting Sporting. They're playing for a chance to face Atletico. At home tonight, Magesi fighting to avoid relegation take on third on the table, Kaizer Chiefs. Chiefs on a 4-match winning streak. Striker Flavio Silva.
We come in for 3 points again because we have a big ambition and we want to be happy again. No, we respect them. We cannot underestimate them. So we know they have a target. They have a big target. They want to be in a PSL next season. So we have this respect. But us also, we have a target. We have ambition to go to the CAF, to be in top 3.
Banyana in preparation for WAFCON beat Algeria 1-0 in a friendly. Majia with the goal, coach Desiree Ellis.
It wasn't an easy game. We haven't played together as a team since last year. So it was very important to get some minutes under the belt. It was also important because many of these players, except for Linda and Hilda, have not played any league football. And we needed to give them as much minutes as we could. Also to get that synergy back and that energy back.
And according to Rugby 365, the reason Ibn Itzebeth did not travel with the Sharks to play Ospreys in Edinburgh is due to the fact he now has a hip injury. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Hey guys, this is Robert Marawa, HollywoodBet's brand ambassador. Playing responsibly is part of the winning strategy. Make smart choices and continue to score. If you or someone that you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. HollywoodBet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Let's hear from Dr. Armand, owner of Monument Dental, why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
It was one call and I was covered immediately. We are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
For dentistries, general medical practices and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
New from the House of Citroën.
Ah, so stylish.
470-litre boot space. I need it.
Keyless entry, so chic.
Cruise control. Oh, bonjour.
4-year or 60,000 kilometer service plan? Oui.
The stylish, all-new Citroën Basalt is here. You want a piece of it. Starting from 354,900 Rand. Register now for limited deal assist of up to 40,000 Rand. Visit citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply.
702 and MTN Business are celebrating small business owners who really walk that entrepreneurial talk, proving that big things can grow from bold ideas. It's the 702 MTN Small Business Awards, and standout SMEs are stepping into the spotlight, from the townships to the suburbs and everywhere in between. Tune in to 702 Breakfast and Afternoon Drive every weekday to meet our finalists and hear their stories. Now, if you're running a small business or you know one that should be a part of this conversation, there is still time to enter or to nominate at primemediaplus.com, because the next business we talk about could be yours. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. T's, C's, and more on primemediaplus.com.
EWN
It's 10 to 8. Let's catch up with the roads. Amo, what are you seeing in terms of delays? I think you mentioned something about the Sunning Hill area. This EWN traffic, of course, brought to you by the House of Citroën. All new Citroën Basalt is here. Book a test drive at citroen.co.za.
Yeah, Bongani, you are quite right, especially if you are traveling within the N1 route towards the Baklu turn-off. Delays from Rivonia Road. There's also queuing traffic on the Mark 1 North towards the Baklu turn-off. That's an accident right near Woodmead. If you are traveling on the N3 North leaving Kelvin, do expect heavier traffic volumes as well. This is between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. On the N1 North, we do have an accident reported right near the Golden Highway exit. It's causing about a 20-minute hold up there. Please be on the lookout and continue driving with care. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The all-new Citroën Basalt is here with keyless entry, wireless Apple and Android CarPlay. It's made to look good and make life easy. And that 470-litre boot, it's ready for every outfit change and then some. The all-new Citroën Basalt Coupe SUV from 354,000 Rand. Register now for limited launch deal assist of up to 40,000 Rand. Book a test drive today at citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to OUTsurance. Please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is Sade, let's go to the lines and see who has it. Emma in Randburg, what's the question?
Morning, Bongani. The question is, which singer is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yes, she joins a list of others, right? Quite a few Brits and a couple of Americans, including Luther Vandross, Oasis, and so many others. Emma, 2,000 Rand coming your way. All thanks to OUTsurance and 702.
Thank you so much, Bongani.
But it doesn't feel like mine.
much money OUTsurance saves 30-year-old Dineo on her car insurance.
I'm saving 1,094 rands.
That's an incredible monthly saving of 1,094 rand on Dineo's 2025 Kia Sonet. SMS out to 45142. Here's 63-year-old Almero.
We do save 417 Rand. That's about 5,000 Rand a year.
That's an awesome saving on Almero's 2021 Ford Ranger. Get a quote now. SMS out to 45142. With OUTsurance, after 3 claim-free years, you get an out bonus.
Can't wait for that. A little bit of cash for a girl to have a little bit of fun, eh?
Always getting something out. You also get 5 million Rand third-party liability cover, covering damage to the other person's vehicle in an accident. How much could OUTsurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insuring FSP. TCs and information online.
Selling your car this new year? Well, We Buy Cars makes it quick and easy. Simply complete the form on webuycars.co.za to get the best offer in minutes. Then visit your nearest pod or branch, or have We Buy Cars come to you. Ready for a new ride? Not a new bride, a new ride. They don't have brides, they've got rides. Browse thousands of budget-friendly vehicles online or in-store today. We Buy Cars, the quickest way to buy or sell.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Coming up next, we're meeting one of the finalists in the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. Let's talk about a small business doing big things.
Moving to a bigger office space can be expensive. Thanks to My Way Business Insurance, I get to save up to 20% on my insurance premiums every month. Plus, I get My Business Assist, which helps me with marketing, legal, and admin services. Saving money while growing my business is a great win for me.
Switch to My Way Business Insurance and save up to 20% on your monthly premiums. Real businesses, real savings. Call us on 0860 646464 today for a quote. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. Standard rates and T's and C's apply.
702.
702. What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
What's gone viral with Kabazela? Of course, Kabazela being a part of the GS1 South Africa indaba today. It's at Sandton, and the indaba takes place at a critical moment for African trade. Businesses, governments trying to turn trade ambition into real market access. Kabazela, you are at the Sandton Convention Center, I understand.
Morning, Bongos. I'm not just a one-trick pony here. I don't just do viral stuff. I actually can do serious issues.
A whole lot of things, right? Watch out now before you go viral.
Well, we'll tell after this crossing, right? But yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting indaba. It's the GS1 South Africa indaba, which is taking place in Sandton. And, you know, what is GS1? So GS1 is the global organization behind Barcodes. And I mean, if you look at the products that you buy every day, most products have barcodes. And if you look at the barcode, you'll notice, there's the numbers. And the 600 and 601 are barcodes that are aligned to South Africa. And each country has its own barcode. And there's about 120 countries altogether that are members with the GS1 Global. But GS1 South Africa is the company in South Africa responsible for all our barcodes. And these, help businesses identify, track, and manage goods across the supply chain, which is very, very, very important. Now, Bongos, this indaba is bringing together retailers, manufacturers, regulators, local authorities, and law enforcement operators. And it sounds niche, but it's not. It's because, we interact with this every day as it moves through the economy. Yeah.
In almost any product you can think of has that barcode.
Exactly.
And that's often, of course, where we find the price of things when that barcode is scanned. The story you want to do today, talking of barcodes, overseas, when you travel, how do you deal with the difference in prices?
Yeah, so this was a very clever campaign by Heineken. We're going to give them their flowers because it's such a brilliant campaign. And you think about it when you travel overseas, you count the pennies and you stand there and you're like, okay, what's the exchange rate? How much is this beer going to cost, or this food? And then you think, maybe I shouldn't have one or two. Maybe I should just stick to water in the hotel, perhaps. But what they've done is, when you get to OR Tambo, there's a bar de change, right? So you could go to this bar de change and you can say, okay, cool, I want to buy 5 Heineken beers for my trip if I'm going to London, whatever it may be. And then when you get to London, you go to participating bars or pubs, and you can then buy your beer in London at a price that you pay for it in South Africa. That's really, really clever if you think about it. I mean, forces you to, go and buy a Heineken in a different country, and you don't have to pay, 3-4 times the price that you would pay in South Africa. So really clever marketing campaign that, I thought. So I wanted to put to our 702 family this morning, if you could lock in a price, a South African price for something that you would buy overseas, what would that thing that you would really, really love to lock in? So because, you love it. So maybe it could be a coffee that you want to go buy overseas, and yes, 4 times the price of a coffee in South Africa. So if you could lock in the price that you pay for it here overseas, what would that be for you?
What would you want to pay South African prices for overseas, essentially, is what Kabazela is asking. We'll take your WhatsApp voice notes on that. And of course, we can look forward to Kabazela, more of his reporting from GS1 South Africa on the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener a little later on. Time now, though, for Eyewitness News, and that's brought to you by Momentum. Financial advisors help you have a better shot at generational wealth. Speak to a Momentum accredited financial advisor. Momentum is part of the Momentum Group Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
This is EWN.
Julius Malema's supporters have filled the streets of Gugombo to support him in a major gun laws case. We go live for the latest, and Musi Maimane explains why he will no longer be merging his party with Rise Mzansi. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. It's a developing story this morning. Thousands of EFF supporters have started gathering in Gugombo City to support their leader, Julius Malema, ahead of his sentencing proceedings. Malema is set to return to the local magistrates' court this morning for final heads of argument in his firearm discharge case. He was found guilty of violating gun laws when he fired a rifle at a rally in Dansane about 8 years ago. We cross now live to Alpha Ramushwana, who is in the city and following proceedings there. Alpha, how are things looking now?
Well, Spiso, dozens of minibus taxis from across the Eastern Cape have flooded the streets of Gugombo City, filled with Julius Malema supporters. The stadium is packed to capacity with a sea of red, with many of the supporters having spent the night here at a vigil, preparing for his big day in court. Spiso, I can tell you that the supporters are now marching from the stadium to the Gugombo City Magistrates Court, where jumbo screens have been set up to follow the court proceedings live.
And tell us about the security measures that have been put in place.
So Malema has his own private security detail, all dressed in black suits with red ties, positioned both inside and outside the magistrate's court. The South African Police Service also has a strong presence, with dozens of officers deployed throughout the inner city. So police nyalas are hard to miss in Gugombo City today, packed with public order police officers as they escort EFF supporters from the stadium to the court. For Eyewitness News, I'm Alpha Ramshwana, reporting live from Gugombo City in the Eastern Cape.
Our reporters will keep you updated throughout the day in other platforms as well, especially in our digital platforms on X and the Prime Media Plus app, as well as on YouTube. Build One South Africa leader Mmusi Maimane says a planned merger with the Good Party and Rise Mzansi failed because of legal technicalities. He says a merger of three parties, which are all represented in the National Assembly, would have been illegal. The three parties had earlier announced their intention to contest this year's local government elections under the Unite for Change banner, but decided against the move until after the polls. Babalondenza reports.
In October last year, ABSA, Rise Mzansi and the Good Party indicated their intention to contest the local government elections under one party banner. But just 5 months later, the parties have reconsidered their decision and will now contest individually. ABSA leader Mmusi Maimane says their planned consolidation couldn't materialize because of the lack of a legal framework. He adds that voters would be more familiar with the existing party brands just 6 months from the polls.
When political parties are elected to go to the National Assembly, as is the case with Rise and Good, there is no legal framework upon which you can merge them into a single structure. There's just absolutely none. It would be, as a start, let alone illegal, it then becomes impractical.
Maimane has since announced another merger with the People's Prosperity Movement, which will be absorbed into ABSA structures and will contest under the party's banner. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And the Madlanga Commission says it won't put any undue strain or pressure on controversial businessman Suleiman Karim to testify until he's healthy enough to do so. Karim was admitted to hospital earlier this week following an undisclosed medical emergency. He was due to testify at the Commission tomorrow, but its spokesperson Jeremy Michael says it's now operating on the expectation that he will have to postpone his appearance.
But most importantly, we will engage with Mr. Karim's team, and in the event that he is not going to be able to appear before the Commission, we may even withdraw his subpoena ourselves, because it's quite clear that he's not going to be able to appear on Thursday.
Gold is trading at $4,818.40 an ounce. The rand is at 16.36 to the dollar, 22.20 to the pound, 19.29 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $95.63 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the Mark 1 North. This is just as you approach Greyston Drive. An accident reported along this route while traveling in Park Mall. We've got delays reported right along the Winnie Mandela Drive, approaching Santon Drive. Do expect delays there due to peak time delays. There's also queuing traffic reported on the M1 North due to an accident near the Baklu interchange.
And in your sport, Kaizer Chiefs going for a fifth straight win tonight. They're taking on relegation threat and Magesi. And Arsenal and Bayern Munich have the upper hand going into tonight's Champions League quarterfinals, playing for a chance to meet Atletico and PSG next.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 24 degrees. The developing story in EWN this hour. Thousands of EFF supporters have started gathering in Gukompo City to support their leader Julius Malema ahead of his sentencing proceedings.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone, so I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Calling all small business owners. It's the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Enter now on Prime Media Plus. Let's talk shop.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes after 8 o'clock, welcome to the program. If you've just joined us, it's a big day for South African politics. The EFF leader, Julius Malema, will he face jail time? Will he get a suspended sentence? It all has to do with Section 47 of the Constitution. Suspended or not, if that sentence is longer than 12 months, he may no longer serve as a member of parliament, at least not for a time. what would that then mean for the leadership of the EFF? We've seen many a South African politician, no better than Jacob Zuma, I think, at this, playing victim, being the martyr, being the one who says he is being targeted, not taking any accountability for their own actions. Could Malema launch a counter campaign, a counter narrative to say he is being victimized here? Remember, he still insists that the rifle he shot did not have live ammunition, even after being found guilty. He says this is political and not criminal. On the other hand, Nigel, and I said this earlier, I'm not minimizing any crime, but gosh, you would think for all the things South African politicians get embroiled in, a firearm discharge. I'm not saying that that's not a big thing, but in the context of our politics, do you know what I mean? I mean, it is a serious crime, and maybe that's the whole point, that we're supposed to take that kind of thing seriously. And as a society, perhaps we don't.
Good morning, Bongs. This is Titus from Toffontein. Just want to weigh in a little on the Julius Malema debacle. Julius is not going anywhere. How I see it, there will be option of fine. Even if it's 3 million rand fine, EFF will pay it. I don't see the judge handing over a sentence without options of fine and things like that. So, yeah. And it's possible he will be let off with a warning. He's a first offender and a prominent political figure. So, yeah, my take, Julius is not going anywhere. Not anytime soon. Titus Toffontein.
And the 702 listeners, we are looking at this, and then there's one thing we are forgetting. Any sentence and appeal and everything, what do the communities and the supporters know about all this? Because at the end of the day, we are facing another Zuma looting problem. If Julius Malema is not going to get his appeals, is not going to get everything favoring him, we're going to have people looting and doing all these other things because people are not even aware.
We're all set.
Morning, Bongani. You are right. We won't be happy if Malema goes to prison for that. As much as we won't be happy for Ramaphosa going to prison for para. Yeah. Thank you. Nice show as always.
Good morning, Bongs. To be honest, in the last 10, 20 years, actually more than that, there's nobody that's had such an impact like the CIC in the political landscape, both internationally as well and locally. Your Stellanda Beni Abrahams, your Ronald Lamola, your Mbalulas, your all that generation of his, your Pule Mabes, all the generation that grew up with him as well, even when he was in the ANC Youth League. None of them even come close to the amount of gratitude that he has within the landscape of the political sphere. And brace yourselves, the man is going nowhere at all. Again, once he will survive this again. All shots fired, excuse the pun. But yeah, I think he'll come back again and again and again and again until the haters and those that really don't like him stop actually pressing against him. Yeah, that's my take.
All shots fired. Clever pun there. It's a difficult one to swallow, Mateo. Amo. For this, again, let me be very clear. I'm not minimizing this as a crime. And maybe this is what we as a society need to wake up to.
Yeah.
The seriousness of this. But we know. Come now. We've seen this. It's long been part of even imisebenzi and people celebrating.
Yeah.
That's why we saw that deputy mayor in the Eastern Cape the other day firing. I'm not saying it is correct. The law is the law. It's very clear. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, for this?
My question is, if it was another political leader who had fired the shot, do you think Julius Malema would have said it's...
For this?
For this?
Yeah, no, fair question. I mean, look, it's difficult. Again, I suppose, you then look at the picture of him framing this as a targeting, framing this as a victimization. Because it would be one thing if he was facing corruption charges or had been caught with his hand in the kitty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for this, I'm not an EFF supporter, but I think it's one that people will find difficult to swallow if he indeed does face any jail time. And I know there's lots of processes still to pursue in terms of appeals and so on. But gosh, for this, I think the voice note that suggests he's the most talented politician internationally of his generation, I think that's probably taking it a little too far. Didn't we just see, what's his name? Peter Magia, or is it Magia, in Hungary? Those win elections. Malema so far hasn't yet.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Hey Bongani and team, this is Ty from Roodepoort. First time calling into your particular show. Love it to bits and pieces. Please don't ever quit radio. Okay, so worst person to take advice from is me as a dad or as your dad. Your dad tends to promise he knows everything, but when the kids start going to high school and they start asking high school questions and the dad's brain doesn't high school. Yes, so don't ask dads or parents for advice. Love life, move on.
Good morning, Bongani and the 702 listeners and everybody else in the studio as well. So, Bongani, I have a bit of an issue with what you've just said about going for advice, asking for advice from somebody who's got problems. How do you know what I've gone through if I haven't shared with you? Until you come to me, then I'm able to relate that, you know what, I know my life looks like roses, but I've also been through a lot. So some of us are very private and we don't necessarily publish or speak about what we're going through, but we do go through a lot. And who do we go to? Well, I speak to my creator or I seek counseling. And for that reason, I'm going to remain anonymous. But great show as always. Have yourself a productive day further.
We were talking a little earlier about the British Medical Journal, the story in today's Business Day, warning people about getting medical advice from chatbots like Gemini or ChatGPT or Meta AI. People are asking about cancer, about Parkinson's disease, or even exercise. And they're basically finding that half of the responses were below par. And so we were then asking, where's the worst possible place to get advice? I said, if your life looks perfect, of course I know it's not perfect. That's the whole point. That's why I won't get advice from you, because why are you hiding your issues? I must be the loser, always with problems. When, fine, go for
You just don't want to be the loser.
You know? And that first time WhatsApper, well, with a WhatsApp voice note like that, keep them coming, please.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. There are delays in the Parkmore area. Amo?
That's correct, Bongani. This is just as you approach the Sandton Drive exit. Please be on the lookout there. Peak time delays here. If you're traveling towards Sandton, we've got delays on the M1 North due to an accident right after Kohler Drive causing delays. And there's also an accident scene reported on the N3 North after Marlborough Drive, slowing down traffic. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Sitting in a traffic jam is as fun as waiting for your laptop to install updates when you're already late for a meeting. Nobody's got time for that. But fortunately, the Outsurance pointsmen are on the road, easing congestion so everyone gets to where they need to be quickly and safely. With Outsurance, you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. This conversation is just the beginning.
Cleanliness is next to godliness. So goes the old saying. And cleanliness is one of those things you don't see it until you do, right? It's often invisible until the standards drop and then boom, it's right in front of your eyes. So across offices, construction sites, homes, demand for reliable professional cleaning services is high, particularly, I suppose, influenced by the recent pandemic. I say recent, 5 years ago. We're all now concerned, certainly, about hygiene in the workplace. It's a business priority and no longer just a luxury. So let's meet the next finalist in the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Founded by Letty Baloy, Hyde's Cleaning Solutions was registered, in fact, during the pandemic. Certainly a concern of Letty's, making sure that workspaces and corporate spaces are indeed hygienic. Letty Baloy, a very good morning to you and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Good morning, Bongani. Thank you for having me here today.
Just going to ask you to come a little closer to the microphone so we can make sure we hear you. All right, take me to 2020. It's the pandemic. Everybody's concerned about hygiene and cleanliness. And you thought, business idea.
Yes. I started Hyde's Cleaning Solutions, because of a deep passion for cleaning. I wanted to create spaces that are more welcoming and healthy, especially in workplaces like for office, also in residentials. Yeah.
All right. So what is the solution that you offer that is different from what was already out there?
Okay. So at Hyde's Cleaning Solutions, we don't just clean. We care. We care about our staff. We care about our clients. We also care about what we do, which is to maintain spaces. So obviously our services stand out because we use eco-friendly cleaning product. Our staff are well trained and experienced. Yeah, and we guarantee customer satisfaction.
Tell me about your eco-friendly cleaning solution.
Okay, so our eco-friendly cleaning solution, we use products that are not harmful to the environment. Yeah, if you have sinuses or allergics or
okay. And I mentioned corporates and business spaces, but you don't just target those. You also do households.
Yes, we do that, residentials.
Okay, so what's the difference between hiring your service versus having, somebody who's more regular there? How does your service work for households, for example?
Yeah, like I mentioned that our staff are well trained, right? And another thing is that we utilize eco-friendly cleaning product, and we also save cost because we bring our own cleaning equipment.
Well, congratulations on the journey so far. You're a finalist in the 702 Small Business Awards. What would winning this mean for you?
Oh my God, it will mean so much for me and my team. The journey was not easy to get here. We came across challenges. Our challenges was we faced challenges where we had a client not paying us on time that affected our cash flows, and also to get a reliable team. So we had to invest more in training. But
it takes time to build a business
like
this.
Now I can say that our service has improved a lot. So for us to win this competition, it will be a breakthrough.
Would mean a lot.
Yes.
All right. Well, congratulations on the journey so far. Certainly, you are a business we are talking about. Now, you can listen to Afternoon Drive with John Polman later on today to meet our next finalist. Remember, you can still nominate or enter the Small Business Awards with MTN. You can submit your nominations or entries at primemediaplus.com.
702, The World View
with Adam Gilchrist.
23 minutes after 8 o'clock, let's catch up with news from elsewhere in the world. Adam, many countries, of course, are concerned, certainly around the issue of illegal immigration. But my goodness, to target an 86-year-old. Tell us about this story.
Yeah, and You're right, all countries have their visa injustices, but here we have an 86-year-old French woman detained at an immigration enforcement center in Louisiana in America. Marie-Thérèse, we don't know her surname, but anyway, that's enough. Marie-Thérèse from the city of Nantes in France was arrested a couple of weeks ago, and according to her son, led away with her hands and feet cuffed, and according to her son, she's being treated as if she's a dangerous criminal and he fears for her life behind bars. Hers is quite a story. Marie-Thérèse met a guy called Billy in the 1960s. He was a serving American soldier with NATO in France. They then lost touch. They married other people, they had children. Many years went by. They reconnected in 2010 as friends, and they visited each other with their spouses. Both were then widowed. Eventually, romance was rekindled. So they got married only last year, and Marie-Thérèse and Billy decided they would relocate to his hometown in Alabama, applying for her for a green card, only for Billy to die in the meantime, leaving her in limbo and now seemingly classed under the Trump administration as an illegal immigrant. Now, hers might be a one-off story, but my word, there are quite a few one-off stories.
Goodness me, I mean, what is it with arresting the elderly from what, an octogenarian to a 90-year-old in South Korea this time? And why was he jailed? Or
so again, actually, it's a woman. 90-year-old woman in South Korea, jailed for a year, which maybe isn't that harsh a sentence, given that she's been found guilty of laundering $400 million worth of her son's drug money. Her son is already in prison in Cambodia and has been for 6 years for trafficking methamphetamine. She went to visit son 5 times. She knew her son had been detained. She knew that she was dealing with illicit funds, but she transferred the money to a designated account at her son's direction several times as well over a period of time. So now here she is in jail for a year, age 90. Age is obviously no barrier to justice. There are plenty of nonagenarians behind bars. I was trying to have a look and count them up, but there are far too many. And in fact, 4 years ago, 101-year-old Joseph Schutz was jailed for Nazi war crimes. It seems no matter what age you are, they'll get you, even if in the case of Marie-Thérèse, you're not entirely guilty of anything.
Now, Adam Gilchrist, don't look back in anger. Rather be thunderstruck, because the sweetest taboo is never too much.
No, absolutely. And your love is king, Bongani. We got a record number for a single country going into America's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So 6 British acts are all going in all at once. And they are, as you have suggested, Oasis, Phil Collins, Iron Maiden, Sade, Billy Idol, and Joy Division / New Order. I don't know why they don't get 2 entries. They are 2 different bands, separated by a death, but still, they're in as a joint thing. It's all about prestige and honor and pride. There's no cash involved. And there is actually a physical Hall of Fame. I didn't know this until I looked it up. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame actually does physically exist in Cleveland, Ohio. So there's a reason to go to Cleveland, Ohio. I can't think of any other reasons to go there. Liam Gallagher was asked if he thinks it's right that Oasis are in the Hall of Fame. Well, I deserve to be in it, said Liam. I mean, that's a very Liam thing to do. But how about the take of Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, now a Hall of Famer? As he put it, it's run by a bunch of sanctimonious Americans who wouldn't know rock and roll if it hit them in the face. It's a bit harsh, Bruce, given that America kind of invented rock and roll, but there are plenty of stars who've been inducted who haven't bothered ever to go anywhere near Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, on that list, of course, is Luther Vandross, the late great. He won't be going to the physical Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but we celebrate nonetheless. Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
28 after 8, let's wrap up the morning's business news. Muteo Horipe, the economy, South African economy, not doing as well as we thought it would, and there are all sorts of reasons for that.
Well, Bongani, we did everything right in 2025. The reforms, targets, we got off the grey list, we cut interest rates. We were ready to grow this year. But
then the world went to war.
As geopolitics would have it, it didn't happen. The IMF now expects the local economy to grow by just 1% in 2026, down from an earlier forecast of 1.4%. This is due to economic disruptions from the US-Israel conflict in Iran. Higher costs and weaker global demand are weighing on growth, especially for emerging economies. Economies like South Africa, which rely on imports and already face challenges, are especially vulnerable to those changes. Global growth now expected to come in at 3.1%. If tensions escalate, risks like higher inflation and food insecurity could rise. The International Monetary Fund and the World Bank this week hosting the spring meetings in Washington, discussing different policies around global growth, persistent inflation, debt, economic stability, and energy market volatility.
Your indicators?
Well, looking at the JSE and how it performed yesterday, it was all green on the local market. The all share up 1,309 points. Most traders looking to positive sentiment that the US and Iran could go back to the negotiation table. The rand at this hour, 16 rand 35 against the US dollar, 19 rand 27 against the euro, and at 22 rand 20 cents against the British pound. Price of gold, $4,817 an ounce, while platinum is up more than 0.5% at $2,123. Brent crude is a little lower at $95 a barrel. I'll have more business for you this afternoon.
Straight to the news desk we go. It is a Wednesday, another corporate that cares. Today we're speaking to ABSA. In the meantime, let's go down to the Eastern Cape, Kukompo, Sfiso Zulu. It's a sea of red.
That's right, Bongani. That's where thousands of EFF supporters are walking through the streets of the city, where their leader, Julius Malema, will appear in court for sentencing proceedings. Malema returns to the local magistrates' court for final heads of arguments in his firearm discharge case today. He was found guilty of violating gun laws when he fired a rifle at a rally in Mdantsane about 8 years ago. EFF leader's political future could take a significant turn if he's handed a custodial sentence of more than 12 months without the option of a fine. Legislation states that anyone who receives such a sentence is disqualified from serving as a member of parliament for about 5 years. Malema told journalists just last week that this is seemingly what the prosecution is gunning for.
They are calling for direct imprisonment of 15 years. You can see that someone is doing everything in its power to get me into.
Legal expert Ulrich Roux explains what the magistrates is likely to consider today.
The court needs to consider his personal circumstances, then it needs to consider the severity of the offence, and then it needs to consider the impact that the sentence has on society. So in other words, would it be a deterring sentence? Will it prevent other people from committing the same crime, or will it be seen as too harsh a sentence? All things considered, I do think that we are most likely looking at a suspended sentence here, a hefty sentence, coupled with a fine.
Rea Vaya commuters travelling between Soweto, Braamfontein and the Johannesburg CBD are concerned about the bus services' poor communication after disruptions. While operations have resumed this morning, many say the lack of timely updates left them stranded. Operations were halted yesterday because of payment delays of staff salaries and footing the fuel bill. Mongezi Koko reports.
Some commuters say they only learnt about the suspension after arriving at bus stations with no prior notice. The disruption affected several key routes, with people forced to rely on taxis, a more expensive and time-consuming option. Others say they only received clarity late last night through social media, raising concerns about transparency.
And only later yesterday night, when I checked, then there was a post saying buses will resume again today with no explanation of what exactly transpired.
Commuters are now calling on Rea Vaya and the city to improve communication. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News in the Joburg CBD.
A security expert has raised concerns over a joint fitness drill between the city of Cape Town Metro Police and U.S. Marines. Footage of Marines training with Metro Police cadets at Muizenberg Beach have sparked criticism from political parties, civil society organizations, and security experts. They are questioning the purpose, transparency, and broader implications of these exercises. Senior Associate at the Africa Center for Security and Intelligence Practices, Eldred de Klerk, says it's unclear whether the required clearance was obtained from the National Police Commissioner as mandated by the South African Police Act. Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
Security expert Eldred de Klerk warns the city of Cape Town may have a dereliction of duty charge on its hands if proper oversight was not in place. De Klerk adds that the municipality has serious questions to answer.
Was this ever discussed in council? Where's the public minute that outlines the resourcing of this, the spending of public funds in relation to this?
Mayoral Committee Member for Safety and Security JP Smith, however, maintains the activity was an informal engagement aimed at improving policing skills. He adds it was a cost-free fitness session as the Marines are based at the U.S. Consulate in Cape Town. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 12 and 15 degrees, peaking at highs between 20 and 24.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in Sunny Hill. That's due to an accident. It's between the Rivonia Road exit and the Baklu interchange. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N3 North. That's between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange.
The top story this hour, thousands of EFF supporters are walking through the streets of Gukompo in the Eastern Cape, where their leader, Julius Malema, will appear in court for sentencing proceedings.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
What would you like to see happen? And how important was the work that was being done by Martha Mani Ransofo?
Mandy, it must be a very lonely world to be a whistleblower, especially in a region like Mphahlele. And for her to stand up and say this is wrong, like a few others, I think, and I want to include myself in this, it's a dangerous world here. It's really a life mean nothing.
Klippies Kritzinger.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Every day, the products we buy, from food to medicine, depend on barcodes and standards to ensure they're safe and legitimate. That's the work of GS1 South Africa, the official supplier of barcodes for South Africa and the SADC region. Today, GS1 South Africa hosts its indaba, bringing together business, regulators, law enforcement to stop counterfeit goods from reaching store shelves and to protect South African consumers. GS1 South Africa, powering trust in data for everyone, everywhere.
Insurance pulls you in. Pineapple pulls you under. Insurance. Pineapple. Insurance. Pineapple.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Are you or someone you know visually impaired? Well, I am. My name is Ncabakazi and I'm a cybersecurity technician.
Ncabakazi's journey began at the Hein Wagner Academy, a specialized learning center dedicated to empowering visually impaired students.
At the academy, I was taught never to give up on my dreams. I have earned national and international certificates in the field of cybersecurity through a learnership sponsored by ABSA, and that has unlocked my potential.
The Hein Wagner Academy offers a wide range of courses, helping students gain economic independence and social connections through training, sport, recreation, and the arts. With full boarding facilities and a convenient location near shops, it's more than just an academy. It's a gateway to a brighter future.
Why wait? Visit heinwagneracademy.org and unlock your future.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and 702 listeners. This is Yolande from Centurion. Regarding your topic of the impact of Julius Malema, and if there's anybody as impactful within his generation for the past 15 years, there's absolutely nobody in the world that has been influential as Julius Malema. There is no politician that has been called into the White House No president's been called into the White House and played a video of of themselves for the whole world to see. That was done with Julius Malema and the EFF. The face of the EFF is Julius Malema. So whether we like him or not, and his attitude or not, fact remains is that he's extremely impactful when you go around Africa. Africans know of Julius Malema. When you go to Europe, Europeans know of Julius Malema. When you go to the United States, America knows of Julius Malema. He's very radical.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a stretch. The fact that Donald Trump made reference to him, that makes him impactful. I'm not taking away from the talent and impact of the man. I've already said that. But to then say no other politician around the world, I'll tell you what, the ultimate test for any politician, right, whose impact must be measured as enormous, surely it's to win elections. Isn't that the litmus test of it all? We haven't seen that, but maybe after this week, all of that might change, because he will no doubt use what is unfolding in East London today and tomorrow as a way of garnering public sympathy. To say he's the most impactful around the world, that's a stretch.
Good morning, Bongani. I hear that the EFF supporters have painted the Kukompo town red this morning in support of their leader. So, well, then whether he goes to jail or not, I don't care. But it's one of those things. Like, if you have the means in South Africa, you'll always avoid jail time. But I must remind people that we must create a monster like we created Jacob Zuma. You understand? I remember some people claim that they will protect him with their bums. So, yes, protect him until he comes back to haunt you. Hurricane Park Town. Cheers for a great show as always, Bongani.
But why do you have to remind us of that? Why? Why? You know what, it's just a sport.
EWN Sport.
I tell you what, Sydney Mphahlele, Kaizer Chiefs are going to want to protect their recent record tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, third on the premiership table. I think if you had offered that to the Kaizer Chiefs fans last season, they would have grabbed it with two hands. They would have said absolutely. So plays for in the Confed Cup, obviously a lot to play for. Still a few games to go in the season, but they're playing relegation-threatened Magesi. And for Chiefs, it will be a fifth straight win if they win tonight. Here's Chief striker Flavio Silva.
For me, I'm not 100% satisfied, because if you check the last seasons, the club was struggling to get in top 3. It's not enough because the club is big. So the minimum we can give to the team, we can give to the club, is to compete with the top club. So I think in this moment, we are not there yet, but we are close.
Champions League continues tonight, where Arsenal and Bayern Munich have the 1-goal advantage. Arsenal are hosting Sporting. The winner will meet Atletico Madrid in the semi-final. Bayern Munich host Real Madrid. The winner plays Paris Saint-Germain. Last night, Atletico lost to Barcelona 2-1, but advanced in a 3-2 aggregate. The defending champions PSG beat Liverpool 2-0, but a blow for Liverpool as striker Ekiteke left the field on a stretcher. Reds boss Arne Slot.
Yeah, Hugo looks really bad, but it's difficult for me to say how bad. Tomorrow we will investigate this further, how bad it is for him. Let's see. That it doesn't look good. I didn't see him at halftime, and after the game he was already home. He went home. So I haven't spoken to him yet, sorry.
In the United Rugby Championship this weekend, the Stormers are hosting Connacht. Dion Fourie expecting a tough one.
No, the physical side, but they're desperate as well, and desperate team is sometimes very dangerous. So definitely not taking it lightly. Obviously, it's got a lot to play for in terms of the log, and we want to end, I think, with the support of the crowd and stuff for the last few games, get that top spot, and hopefully we can build on, and we can play a final again in front of our people.
The Sharks have travelled without Eben Etzebeth for their away games with Ospreys in Edinburgh, according to Rugby 365. Etzebeth has a hip injury. In tennis at the Barcelona Open yesterday, Alcaraz, Musetti, Rublev and de Minaur cruising to the last 16, all in straight sets. The fourth seed Kachanov was knocked out. World number 1 Yannick Sinner opting not to play in this tournament, resting instead. And in IPL cricket, the Chennai Super Kings beat the Kolkata Knight Riders by 32 runs. Devil Brevas was on the winning side. He made 41 from 29. Cindy Mphahlele, Eyewitness News Sport.
Attention all shoppers.
Our supermarket shelves are full of unhealthy food. It's often hard for me to know which foods are good for my family. The information on packaged food is complicated and hard to understand. I wish we had easy-to-understand warning labels on foods high in salt, sugar, and saturated fat. We have the right to know what's in our food. Support front-of-package warning labels on unhealthy packaged foods. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
At Fly Sapphire, we know that some of the most important lessons take place beyond the classroom, on sports fields, stages, and tours. And so, we've brought back our School Booster Initiative, where 10 schools stand to win 10 domestic return flights each, helping their pupils fly further, dream bigger, and do what they love. Visit flysapphire.co.za. Tell us how these flights could benefit your school, and you could be a winner. Fly Sapphire for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
We at Monument Dental are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes before 9. Amo, let's wrap up the morning's traffic.
It's been a very busy one, Bongani. We do have delays on the N1 South leaving Sam Rand Avenue towards Olifantsfontein Road. Roadworks are taking place along this route while traveling in Sunny Hill, queuing traffic along the N1 North. This is between Rivonia Road and the Baku Interchange. An accident between these 2 points. And if you're still heading towards Sandton, do expect about a 15-minute hold up on the Makwa North between Corlett Drive and Grayston off-ramp. That's due to an earlier accident. I'll have more updates at the top of the hour. Do stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hi, this is Teko Modise, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. Be a winner who knows when it's time for a timeout and play responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Sorry I'm late, Sevi. Had to fetch my lucky putter. No worries, let's go. We're teeing off in an hour. Great. We're taking your car. Can't. It's already taken. What do you mean taken? It was right here when I left a few minutes ago. I sold it to Weber Cars and made a whole lot of green. Birdie told me that's the best way to sell your car. Not only the best way, it's the fair way. Kom ons vat die pad.
Don't be doof, be savvy. We buy cars geared for a fast sale, geared for you.
That's Fani before he got naked. Fani's insurance premium went up for no reason, irritating him more than when the boys ignored the really funny meme he posted in the group chat. What? So Fani got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Go Fani. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Coming up
on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Clement Manyatela in the studio. It's
Good
been a
morning.
moment.
It's been
I
a
thought
second.
you'd moved to Cape Town.
I had actually, and I
you
thought,
live in
I love
Kukom.
Joburg more. I thought I'd pack my bags and I live there, and I thought, no, doesn't beat Joburg, so here
What?
I am.
Quick sticks. What happens in Kukompo this morning, do you
So
think?
we, I mean, I think even if it's a hefty sentence, it's likely to be suspended when you look at the profile of the person involved. I do think, obviously, it's going to be prolonged because he's going to appeal, that's for sure. And I wonder if then Section 47 will come into play. If this thing takes, 5 years? Do you see Julius still in the National Assembly after 5 years?
Yeah.
Really? I don't see that.
What will happen 5 years from now?
I don't think he'll still be in Parliament.
Where would he be?
Like out, focusing maybe on the EFF and building it. I don't know if he'll still have the energy to still be a member of Parliament
He wants
like
to be
that.
president.
I mean,
That's
is that
the
gonna
ultimate
happen
goal.
in
Stranger
recent
things.
times?
Yeah, when you just never
So,
know. What's on the show?
We'll touch on that on the open line, and then we'll also look at the appointment of Rolf Meyer as our new ambassador to the US. And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to be in conversation with GEMS Principal Officer, aka CEO of GEMS, Dr. Sten Moloabi. And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Listener's Choice feature. Today, we're discussing South Africa's draft AI policy. What does it say? And then we wrap up the show at 11:30 with our sharing space. So interesting
What are we
today.
sharing about
Are you
today?
allowed to poach a helper or a nanny from a family member or a friend?
Good luck trying mine. Kevin Manyatela on your radio between 9 and 12.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report at its heart is a current affairs show, but it really is a show about everything you need to know about and everything you didn't know you needed to know about. Our listener is sharp, plugged in, curious, has developed opinions, but is still open to learning new things. My favorite part is how witty, sharp, and funny our listener is. What we cover every day is breaking news, current affairs, politics, the courts, global developments, science, education, popular culture, sports, books, and of course, good things too. I like to think of it as a lunchbox with a little bit of everything. What I love about 702 Land is that it is full of energy. There's always something happening, a developing story to follow. But it's not parochial. The 702 family cares about what is happening in the world around them and how we plug into that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery, and unveiling benefits. Apply today. It's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
For news on South African industry and mining, Creamer Media's Engineering News and Mining Weekly has you covered. Click through to Creamer Media's Engineering News each day for the latest on the people and companies shaping the energy transition and South African industry. Keep your finger on the critical minerals pulse by visiting Creamer Media's Mining Weekly. For deeper insight, subscribe to the Engineering News and Mining Weekly magazine, out on Fridays. Creamer Media, current, credible, comprehensive.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It is a Wednesday and time, of course, for another edition of Corporates That Care. And really what we do here is to put a spotlight on South African businesses and corporates, but also all citizens who walk the talk to make sure we have a better South Africa. We're looking for leaders and individuals who are driving real change in communities and in the country. And this week, I'm pleased to tell you, we've got the Red Bank in the house, the ABSA Group, whose corporate citizenship strategy is about unlocking real economic opportunity, particularly for young South Africans. We've seen, of course, in recent days, marches planned around youth unemployment. So what opportunities can there be for young people? We're going to talk to ABSA about their Phoenix Trust in particular, which helps graduates from university who are particularly burdened by historical debt get a step ahead. Sydney Mphahlele is the Chief Marketing and Corporate Affairs Officer at the ABSA Group and joins us in studio. Welcome to 702 Breakfast, and a pleasure to have you on our show.
Thank you, Bongani. Great to be here, and good morning to the listeners.
Always my question as we begin this conversation is, why are you a corporate that cares?
Look, I mean, it starts with an existential question. We are an organization that is very systemic in society. A bank is. And really how we've defined our purpose is to empower Africa's tomorrow together, one story at a time. Because, Bongani, if we don't fortify the environment in which we operate, where are we going to succeed as an organization? So it's important for us to be an active force for good so that we're able to help society to progress. So from that perspective, we take these matters very seriously, that what we see in the environment, in the communities, whether it's social ills, whether it's with the youth, that we are involved and we are intricately connected to how we can solve those problems.
Would you then say whether it's an individual customer or indeed a community, their story becomes your story as a bank? The bank's story becomes their story.
I mean, absolutely. We just actually 2 years ago repositioned our business with a strapline, Your Story Matters, actually, which signifies that it's not really about us. It is about the customer.
Yeah.
It is about the community. It is about the stakeholders and how we can partner with them to see them through the trials and tribulations as well as the aspirations in their lives.
As you say, a bank's role permeates through almost every aspect of a society, a community, and an individual's life. How then do you begin to prioritize with so many competing needs to give back?
So if we say we want to empower Africa's tomorrow, together one story at a time, you got to look at the stratification of society. And, one of the things that we don't talk about often enough, Bongani, is this thing we call the demographic dividend on this continent. We are the a very youthful continent.
You're touching on my studio. That's a passion subject of mine.
And then you juxtapose that, Bongani, with the scourge of unemployment and some of the social ills that we see in society. Actually, the apex of it is getting to solve the problems that really matter. And this project, which we do with Phoenix, the ABSA Phoenix Trust Partnership, seeks to do exactly that. Let's look at how we can help people who have really given some effort, have gone to universities, have good qualifications, have not been able to translate that into anything of meaning because they owe the fees. They don't have certificates or transcripts.
So this is somebody, this is somebody who has gone to university, has a qualification in theory or even on paper. They just don't have the paper in their hands.
They don't have the transcript or certificate to be able to get a job. So we want to help those people to be absorbed in the mainstream economy so that they can be productive, so that they can contribute to all of these things that we're talking about that will help society go forward.
Because when you talk about this youth dividend, one of the challenges, and the reason I say it's a passion project or at least subject of mine, is it's not enough to just say we have this endowment of young people and a workforce that's ready, but are they able, do they have skills? And you're saying, even in some cases where the skills in fact are there, there's this major hurdle around historical debt. So how do you work with the Phoenix Trust to resolve that?
So essentially we partner, I think, about 17 universities. We've committed over 60 million rands last year in 2025. And I think about 330 or so of those students have been helped to be able to clear their debt so that they get into the work environment and be able to contribute to society. In fact, we don't just stop there, Bongani. We also merge that, interface that with this thing called the YES program. I'm sure you've heard about it, Youth Employment Service Project, so that we don't just get them a certificate, but also we help them into the job market and help them with aspects related to career development, sort of digital skills, psychosocial support, to enable them to really settle into the working environment and be successful in what they want to do.
How do you clear that debt? Is it a kind of loan? Do they sort of have to repay, or do they have to pay it forward in some way?
So people have to apply through the phoenix.org website, and the partnership looks at people who qualify. Not everyone qualifies, of course. We look at household income, for example.
How well you performed.
So it has to really give us a sense that there's something in here that can be value accretive for society. And we're just excited to see those those kids, those people going into the working environment.
I love the pun because when we think of Phoenix, of course, it's the Phoenix rising. But even in terms of how you spell your Phoenix, it's fee. Nix. Nix fees.
Convergence of things that really work when they come together. And I think it's really just epitomized by this partnership.
Look, there's a broader issue here. You've touched on youth unemployment, but also the issue of economic exclusion is something that has a real impact on the unequal society we are as a country.
Absolutely. Because we're a bank, we have to leverage our forte. Our forte is financial expertise. So how can we help in financial inclusion rather than what you might broadly term economic inclusion, is really enable more and more people to get into the mainstream economy for us to get working as a society.
When we think about responsible corporate citizenship, I mean, it's easy, particularly for a bank, I would imagine, to sign a check and, here are a few rands, here are a few sums, but it's a lot more than that, isn't it? You've got to be able to get involved in the kind of change that has a permanence to it.
Absolutely. And when we say your story matters, it is important for us to look at the full ecosystem of your life and how your life, through the life events and the things that you go through, because people are not linear. They go through a number of things as they grow up. You leave university, you have your first job, you have your first car, you then get married, you have your, all of those things matter to us. And we've got to look at you holistically in terms of how we can support you. In this particular project, it is about really enabling these students, really who've given their best shot. But of course, once they are into the job market, there are many more interventions that can help us to support them.
As you say, first car, first home, marriage, and they start businesses, and they are people of influence in this society. And which bank are they going to call on, do you think? Appreciate your time. Sydney Mphahlele is the Chief Marketing and Corporate Affairs Officer of the ABSA Group, a corporate that cares.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
Look at the time. Stay listening to 702. Big news day, of course. The FF leader, Julius Malema, in court today. Kukombo City, ahead of his sentencing proceedings. Will bring you everything as it unfolds from East London. And stay listening to the Clement Manyathela show. He'll unpack all of that for you with some analysis and the latest eyewitness news.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. EFF leader Julius Malema has arrived in the East London Magistrates Court in Kukombo for the start of sentencing proceedings. Malema returns to the dock after he was convicted of violating gun laws. This case is in relation to Malema firing a firearm during the party's rally in Dansane in 2018. We cross now live to Nhlanhla Mabaso, who's outside court. Nhlanhla, how was the reaction from Malema's supporters when he arrived in court just a moment ago?
Loud chants, people singing and chanting in